What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Tonight, we have a lot of stuff to talk about, obviously with Hurricane Milton. And before we get into that, we have several people in the call right now to kind of go over the latest information. We're going to go ahead and introduce them right now. Let's go ahead and start with Tyler. Tyler, say hello.
Hello.
All right, we have Weather Kingdom. Weather Kingdom, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
We have Sakura. Sakura, say hello.
So,
We have Daniel. Daniel, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
We have John, our head admin tonight. Say hello.
What's up, everyone?
Yep, we have Tristan once again. Tristan. Yeah, we have Mia in the call as well, although she is muted, but if she would like to introduce herself, she can.
Hi.
All right. Tonight is a very serious situation, obviously, so I'm going to go ahead and give a brief overview as to what's going on, and then we'll get into pretty much all the juicy stuff that several of my co-hosts would like to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and give a brief overview for everybody. Right now, what you're looking at is satellite imagery of Hurricane Milton. Maximum sustained winds are 180 miles per hour. This is the strongest hurricane since Hurricane Dorian in 2019 across the Atlantic, and it is the strongest hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico, I believe, since Hurricane Rita in 2005. But what we have going on, the public advisory, central pressure on the eye of Milton has reached a record low. Pressure is 887 millibars. I wish it was 987. It's 897 millibars. It's such a shocking number, I can't even read it correctly. It's moving east at 10 miles per hour. Hurricane warnings are in effect. And with that, I will turn it over to Tyler because he has some very important stuff to talk about in terms of preparations and law enforcement and all that.
All right, thank you, Pat. So I've been listening for the last few hours on what the officials have been saying to the media, and it's all been the same sentence. If you're in Tampa, evacuate immediately. They have mandatory evacuations out for the Tampa area because of that catastrophic hurricane that will provide life-threatening storm surge to the Tampa area. And also shelters have also opened up. You can find those shelter locations at floridadisaster.org. I'll post a link to that in the chat momentarily. And also for sandbag locations, starting in Orlando, they've just closed for the day. However, you can find some sandbags at the Camping World Stadium tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. There is a limit to 10 bags per household. In Tampa, residents can stop by the Himes Avenue complex or AI Barnes Park. They also have that 10 sandbag limit. But yeah, one of the officials from Tampa has said that this is basically one of the worst situations in Tampa history. So this is something that you have to take very, very seriously. So again, I'll be posting links to all the shelter information, all the sandbag information in the stream chat momentarily. And yeah, that's all I have so far.
All right, thank you very much, Tyler. We'll go ahead and turn to Tristan. He will give us an overview of what we've been seeing today, as well as just pretty much everything that's been going to be continuing in the next 12 to 24 hours.
A remarkable storm. First of all, that's all I can say here. This is the first time ever actually tracking a hurricane that we got to sub 900 millibars. Of course, Dorian was close, and there were a few others. This is one of the strongest since Rita of 2005, and there's so many records that have been broken by this storm. And by the way, the worst case situation is actually even being more realized, because normally when we talk about eyewall replacement cycle, we talk about them lasting for days. The environment is so good that it may not even last a day. This might be a very quick eyewall replacement cycle, and then it might have a second peak. Not only that, an eyewall replacement cycle makes the storm bigger, and bigger can mean lower pressure once it starts intensifying again. So I think that 897 might not be the lowest they can do in the future, especially with a favorable jet interaction tomorrow before Tuesday night into Wednesday. And here we have a moderate risk of flooding, and it's very reasonable. Even though areas are very soaked by rainfall, the storm is so small that we can't correlate where the biggest rain potential will be. There is also a slight risk of tornadoes. The storm is small enough for, depending on the timing, that the atmosphere over Florida may be able to have some clear skies and keep instability rolling, especially with the way the jet is supposed to after the storm. And just because you are behind a hurricane doesn't mean you're safe. Because of the subtropical jet interaction, we are expecting some decent damaging winds behind it. In fact, I think the western side is stronger than the northeastern side. And we're waiting to see if recon can go on that side. But it is going through an eyewall replacement cycle, but the conditions are just so good that it may not matter as much.
All right.
And the plains, and I know we're seeing a bunch of pressures that sort of don't make sense, but the eye is so small, and it's been such a long time since recon has been able to fly into these things that they can't get in, and there's mesovortices. So we have to let people take their time too. So people that are looking at the recon data, and I know they're saying, why are you not going to the eye? It's for safety reasons. There's mesovortices. But on the radar, there is a eye wall replacement cycle. The question is, does it cancel it? Is it a merger, especially with the conditions? Is it quick? That's what we're trying to figure out. If you are in the storm surge zone, you need to get out. Parts of the Tampa coast are already damaged by Helene. What will 15 to 18 potentially, by the way, potentially add maybe 1 or 2 more feet, because high tide is right after landfall and the flow goes right over Tampa if the track is correct. So add another 1 to 2 feet to 15 to 18. And you, in very local spots, you might have as much as 20 feet. So please, if you are along the coast, you need to get out. There's no choice. If you're in a mobile home with tropical tornadoes and the wind field of this storm, we had so many people who have fallen trees on mobile homes and cars. You need to get out of a mobile home. You need to have a plan in place. And after Helene, Florida's already been through enough, but especially the Carolinas, which I'm very happy to say that at least the Carolinas will be spared.
Yes.
So it is only really a Florida threat and some of coastal Georgia and South Carolina due to the wind field as it goes as tropical later on after it passes through Florida. But still, you need to take the right precautions and you need to leave. You need to have a plan in place. You need to find shelter. We have not seen a storm like this. And I'm not talking about wind speed. I'm more scared about the pressure because that influences the surge, especially when the eyewall replacement cycle is going on, when the storm is broader. We have not seen a storm like this in terms of pressure 100% since 2005. Now, will it do one more pressure downer? The models say yes. And with a favorable trough interaction later once the eyewall replacement cycle complete, it might do one more drop. It might do it. So the pressure, in theory, could be lower next time. But that's speculation. Right now, the concern is that people need to get their disaster plan ready and waiting. And by the way, if that makes it any worse, I heard reports, this is not confirmed, that evacuations are so rapid that Florida's running out of gas. There's some cars that are stuck already. This is so reminding me of the Rita evacuation in 2005. And that's very concerning for an area in Central Florida. That's very concerning.
Yep.
I do want to jump in and quickly say about the gas thing. I can confirm that gas stations are running out of gas. So if you're going to a gas station that does have gas, do not hoard the gas.
Yep.
Please do not hoard the gas for yourself.
There needs to be enough for everybody.
Yes.
All right.
And also same for ice as well. Ice is going to be a very rare thing to find.
Oh yeah.
And we just got breaking news 1 minute ago. Eyewall replacement cycle has officially begun.
All right. Tonight will be the make or break. And where'd you get this at?
From Craig Seltzer, which is I think a science. Yep,
All right.
he's a scientist. But the new eye will likely be at least 26 miles wide. That's a huge contrast.
That's a huge difference. Right now, the eye, I
here's
believe,
the
is 4
thing.
nautical miles.
Here's the question, though: will that even weaken the system?
It will,
Exactly.
considering
Good
that we're at
area of
180
condition.
miles per hour, it would, but it probably would not get below high-end Cat 4 strength.
I think it will still stay a 5 because it's that's to the loop current.
Oh yeah, I agree with you on that.
And then here's the thing: a larger storm combined with another phase of rapid intensification, it could have a second better peak.
Yeah.
It could, in theory. But that, honestly, the storm strength in a way does not matter when you realize that any situation with a category 3 or 4 or even a 5, because of the pressures, would make that surge go into the bay.
Yep.
That is my biggest
Even
concern.
if
And
it-
if the track is correct, that's a power outage outbreak ready to happen too.
Yeah, and by the way, if you use a generator, if the power does go out, please follow the proper protocols because people dying from generators like carbon monoxide poisoning is one of the leading killers in a tropical cyclone aftermath.
Yep.
Do not use your generator inside your home.
Yes.
Thank you,
So
John.
yeah, please follow proper protocols.
Yeah. All right. Daniel, what's up?
I just wanted to add on to Tristan's point that all the cloud tops are so intense that, and this is definitely one of the most intense storms I've seen in the Atlantic in the time I've been tracking storms. I've only been tracking hurricanes since 2017, and this is by far the most intense I've ever tracked. Now, it's not the most intense I've ever seen anywhere in the world, but in the Atlantic, it is. And it's scary how close it is to Westpac storms, at least in intensity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And pressure.
Mhm.
The one thing that is making me wonder is with all the convection flares and all that, it might hold. I mean, I think it will weaken a little, but it might hold Cat 5 during
I agree.
cycling.
Yeah.
Just because it's so intense, it might. I don't want to alarm anybody by saying this, but it might. Do you remember Goni? It had.
Yes, I do.
Oh, I know
Okay,
Sakura
so that
remembers that too.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I don't want to
and-
alarm anybody by this at all, and especially Goni was a larger system. It was a lot larger, and this one's a lot more compact and a smaller system. So 2 different dynamics here, but it is possible. I'm saying it's possible, not 100% guaranteed, but possible that it could maintain most of its strength during the eye wall replacement cycle.
All right.
And that is if it does a full eye wall replacement cycle.
Daniel,
might do
I'm going to add
one.
something that is terrifying about the environment. The environment is so good that a total
Great.
eye wall replacement cycle will only take a few hours.
Because how small the system is.
Yep. Because that
No,
eye wall is like
yes,
what,
and
4
not only
nautical
that,
miles?
When it's done doing that, remember, it still has a loop current. It still has tomorrow to have a favorable jet interaction.
Yep.
Yeah, I gotta
So
go, but I'll
that's
be
why
back
we're saying there might
in
be a second
few
peak.
hours.
Thank you.
And I think the eye wall replacement cycle is actually better for the storm now.
And also, one thing to add on to that, if it does an eye wall replacement cycle, and I don't think people in Florida are taking this into account seriously, that the storm wind field is going to expand.
Yes.
Yes.
It's not going to be confined to a small little area around, well, where it's forecasted to go, Tampa Bay, which that's going to be catastrophic if it does so. And the fact it will expand further. So it would be, and also we're going to have this like extra tropical nature happen after it moves off the coast of Florida, which I find interesting with this system. So depending on the strength at landfall, this will be very bizarre storm to watch. I personally think it will be a mid-ish low-end 4 at landfall, not a high-end 3. But that can always change.
Yes.
But even if it's I'm saying this highly theoretically because I don't think it's going to get this low. But even if it's a high-end 2, which I still very much don't believe that's happening.
I agree.
Even a 2 the surge will keep with it, whatever the surge is. Because, my goodness, this might be... What is the record-setting surge for Tampa Bay?
I'm
I
not
can search
100%.
that out for you.
Not
I think it
100%.
was 7 feet by Helene. I think.
Let me search that out.
All right.
Because we're currently
It's 10 to
the
15
forecast
feet for
shows
Tampa Bay.
8
That's what's
Oh,
forecast.
did it increase?
It was at 8 to 12 before.
It was 8 to 12. Was it now, Pat?
Yes. Now it's 10 to 15.
10 to 15.
Yep.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it gets any higher than that, more like 15 to 20.
I would argue that partly
I
due to
wouldn't
the
be
tide as
surprised.
well.
It all matters on the timing as well.
Yep.
It's no longer a supermoon. That's the good thing. But if it comes in during a higher tide,
Which it is.
At least currently.
The timing is 4 a.m. and the landfall is right 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. That's only 2 hours. But that could be that could be a difference point considering if the storm is faster due to the jet and crap. It could.
By the way, the area of Tampa is already
Damaged.
severely weakened. The beaches are in people's houses already. I've seen, just from Helene, some people out there might have heard the influencer Tifu, Fortnite
Oh,
streamer.
yeah.
His Juke Squad and his Tifu and Juke Squad's, his brother's house, his main dad's house where he used to stream. 4 feet of water inside the house. It was all full of sand. His whole streaming PC is cooked. His Teslas were destroyed. His mother's Tesla blew up. His old car's gone. One of his rental properties had like 5 foot of water in it. It was all underwater on the coast. And it's sad because now they're about to get hit by another one that's going to cause more direct damage.
Yeah, that's not good at all. Daniel, you mentioned something about this being similar to a Western Pacific storm. I wanted to, with that in mind, turn to Sakura and get her opinion on this. Like this.
Well, I said this really, really reminds me of a West Pacific storm, but another thing this also kind of reminds me of a little bit, and some of you tropical cyclone nerds may know about this one. Cyclone Tracy of 1974. That thing was tiny.
Yeah.
Very.
I would like
Can
to read
you send me
something.
a photo of that storm, Sakura?
Yes, I can. Give me that.
I would like to read something from Eric Webb, which is a government meteorologist part of the weather industry complex.
All right.
So the recon has confirmed the eyewall replacement cycle. First off, it's going to be the continental eyewalls are 4 and 26 miles in diameter, respectively. We may see Milton slightly weaken. I think slightly means it will stay at 5 because of how strong it is. But here is the problem. Unfortunately, Milton will likely come out of the other side of this eyewall replacement cycle a much bigger storm, but it also has the chance to grow even stronger later tomorrow into tomorrow night. So it has all day tomorrow as it passes over the loop current and interacts with the jet stream.
I am very worried about that.
Yeah. All right.
That's why I'm saying the eyewall replacement cycle now is the worst case situation. It's done.
Because usually, I have a question for you guys. Usually, an eye wall replacement cycle afterwards, it could strengthen even faster it did previous. Is that correct?
Not
It could,
necessarily.
depending on the structure, depending
Not
on the conditions and
necessary.
structure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
It's
what.
a
And
random
this is a
pattern,
small
though.
storm, so probably
So here's the
6
thing.
hours.
Here's the thing, though. There's no dry air. This is not a case where it has so many counters.
Nope.
Even John says that's not good. We're having an eyewall replacement. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not good we're having
So-
ERC right now. And I was talking to you about this, Tristan, before. If it's happening this early, it's going to be a major issue because not only will this greatly expand the wind field, it'll also give it the opportunity to strengthen again. And that would not be
That's it,
optimal
yep.
because we're at 4.
And
Go ahead.
but
Yeah,
I was
because
gonna
right
say,
now.
here's another thing that it does. It makes the storm tougher.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Survive
mentioned that.
any jet interaction that's not favorable.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just like barrel. Not barrel, but
Oh, and that
barrel.
also increases the storm relative helicity for tornadoes if you have any supercells.
Yep.
Northeast or eastern quadrants. Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
That's bad.
Yeah. But yeah.
So yeah.
Go ahead, Weather Kingdom.
So the National Hurricane Center has a track just north of Tampa, and pretty much Tampa just getting completely demolished by storm surge. Do you guys think this is officially the storm for Tampa and the doomed hurricane for Tampa is now?
I talked to
I'm not going to
Tony
answer
about
on that
this.
for a reason.
I talked to Tony about this. If he's in the stream right now, listening to this, come join the live stream because I want to get I want to get your take on this because you were telling me some very interesting information earlier. Basically, what he told me was to have a direct hit on St. Petersburg, Florida, and Tampa, Florida. A hurricane has to come out of the southwest from a longitude of 82 degrees and a west and a latitude of 21 degrees north. That's part of the Hurricane Phoenix simulation, which is the simulation that kind of simulated the Tampa Bay hurricane that Weather Kingdom was mentioning. If it goes any further than that, then it's not hitting St. Pete because it's going to hit landfall in Sarasota first and point southward because that sticks out farther than Tampa Bay and St. Petersburg landmass wise.
I don't like what I just read. Eyewall replacement cycles are very fast in the pinhole structure. However, their eye normally grows significantly. There is a chance it is a small eyewall replacement cycle, aka a merger one or a full one in such short time, and the peak might be better when it reaches the bulge.
Tristan, are you seeing something on radar with that?
Mexican radar? No, that was a tweet
Okay.
that confirmed that this system could just brush off the eyewall replacement cycle like nothing happened to it.
All right. Okay.
Can I?
Let
Yeah,
me
go
check
ahead.
radar real quick.
Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to put something into perspective for a little bit. If you all remember in 2022 when Hurricane Ian came in, we had really bad flooding for St. Pete and Tampa area in the Bay. I think we all remember that. Go to Hurricane Helene that happened. We had the flooding in Tampa. And like we said, Tampa and the St. Petersburg area, even a little bit of Sarasota, is already in a really bad area with the flooding and some damage. If we put this into perspective with a straight landfall in that area, we're looking at really, really bad damaging areas to a lot of these neighborhoods, buildings, and really structural integrity to Tampa. Like I know we talked about the streamer Tifu before,
Yeah.
and his house was demolished, and that was not even a straight landfall. They were not even in the cone. Tampa was not even in the cone of uncertainty. If we look at it, they're dead on. And right now, this thing is very possible for being a Category 5 at landfall. And especially for storm surge, for it being near high tide,
Yeah.
we could have a possible really, really bad case scenario for Pinellas County, for Hillsborough,
Yeah.
which is Tampa and St. Petersburg.
Yep.
For a lot of these areas, I think we've stressed it enough, but there's nothing more stressing it. Get out of St. Petersburg, get out of Tampa, get out of there, get out of Central Florida. Either go south towards Miami, go towards Georgia, go towards another area. Get out of there.
I would argue that, areas in Miami are under a tropical storm watch right now. I'm taking a look at that. Let me go ahead and pull up the new experimental cone. Yeah, Miami's under a tropical storm watch.
Also, I will like to point out about the NHC forecast in the category 4. Some models they 1-5 at landfall. However, I'm not expecting that. But here's the thing: there's going to be a jet behind it. That means that there's going to be a lot more wind damage. And if that's not enough for Florida, going into the future a little bit, I know we're talking about Milton, we have to be the bearer of bad news, but another MJO pulse will likely return at the end of October. Sakura and I were just talking about this 2 days ago. October into November, there is a ULAC and the Gyre and the MJO will set up again in the Caribbean for 3 more weeks.
All right.
After this storm.
Okay.
So if you are in Florida after Milton, you still got to pay attention to the forecast of the hurricane season because it looks like we got another one coming. Not only that, but I'm very worried about if any more storms come from the Caribbean because Florida has already been very affected.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Sorry.
And their coastline is, after Milton, if there's another hurricane, what coastline will they have left to defend them against surge?
Yeah. Anyway, we have a $7.77 donation from Lemon Lizard. Thank you for the donation. We really appreciate that. What do you predict for Lay Acres, Florida, which is 50 minutes inland from Fort Myers? Lay Acres, that's pretty interesting. Last I checked, Lay Acres is under a hurricane watch right now. Right now, what I'm expecting is probably strong tropical storm conditions unless the system pushes further to the south, where I would say the trajectory right now, I would say strong tropical storm force winds, especially as this hurricane expands in size due to the eyewall replacement cycle it's currently undergoing. But if it pushes further to the south, like maybe towards Sarasota, maybe towards Port Charlotte, that's when you'll get to your hurricane conditions. That's my thoughts on it. Thank you for the donation. I hope I could answer your question. So, yeah. All right. But anyway, Weather Kingdom. You haven't been talking as okay. Weather Kingdom's not here right now. He's probably eating dinner right now. Regardless, very interesting situation. Thank you for everyone who's been contributing tonight. So is there anything else we want to go over in terms of Milton that I think would be very important? Because we talked about the storm surge, we talked about the perspective of it, we talked about the comparison to Helene, we talked about the eyeball replacement cycle. Hurricane Hunter Reconnaissance has been going in there actually, which, by the way, the Tropical Tidbits website. Okay, never mind. It's back online. They're finding some interesting stuff in there. Yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on the latest recon so far? It looks like the pressure rose a few millibars.
That's proven the eyewall replacement cycle.
That's an eyewall replacement.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is honestly, I'm gonna say this right now. Normally, I would be jumping with joy. Not this time.
Yeah.
That's actually making my stomach.
I mean, the issue is it didn't drop that much, so we could see possibly 880 by tomorrow. Like at this point, we have to put it in perspective. Nobody was saying 5. There was only a couple of models that were showing a 5 yesterday. We have a 5 now.
Yeah.
We cannot listen. At this point, we have to look at a recon and just say, okay, now what? Because right now, this thing is okay. It shows 906. It was an 8. What was it? 899. Is that
897 technically, but on the advisory, but still.
Yeah. So I mean, at this point, even if it's a 4 at landfall, it is still really bad for Florida. Yeah. After Hurricane Helene, they do not have much ground to stand anymore. They do not have any nail to bite on that coastline. most of it is already diluted or just not put in the right place for Florida, even for Tampa, really along the coastline of West Florida. There is nothing more that that coastline can do right now.
Yep.
I would be telling anybody who even lives 10, 20 miles away from Tampa, even into Orlando, get out of there. Like even anybody who's in Central, anybody who's near the Orlando, Daytona Beach, the Tampa, St. Petersburg, Sarasota area, get out of there. Go through your evacuation plans. Go through that area. Go there and stay there until we know that it's safe.
Yeah.
Because from this recon data, we are in the low 9s. The last time we've had that, remember, during this whole season, we have not had a low 9 like this, even into
or
the
a
low
high
8s.
800 system.
Yeah, I mean, this is reminding me a lot of Hurricane Patricia, which was a 200-mile-per-hour system. I could see a point where this thing can get to 200 miles per hour. I mean,
no,
there's a
I don't see
possibility.
that.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There is a possibility at this point, because remember, I was looking at it. This thing at this morning was a Category 3.
Okay.
And that thing shot up. That thing shot
All right.
completely to a 5 within. I mean, the last time I checked, it was at 8 a.m. It was a Category 3, and now it was a 5 at 11.
Yeah.
So sky's the limit with this system. I hope there's a best case scenario where this thing drops significantly before landfall. But I mean, it's just becoming a really, really bad case scenario for that area.
All right. Before anyone
First
else jumps in, I want to respond very quickly. I was talking to Kaiser about this, and I was asking and he was doing some analysis on this. From what he was able to gather, it looks like the peak of it is right now around 180 miles per hour. The theoretical peak of this is around 190, 195. We've never had a hurricane with 200 mile per hour winds in the Atlantic Ocean. It's not happened. We had 190, we had 185 on several occasions, but not 200. And part of the reason for that is pretty much the dynamics of the Atlantic Ocean. It's the least expansive water basin of all the five common oceans. Well, take out 2 of them because they don't support tropical cyclones, the Arctic and the Southern Ocean, but it's not nearly as expansive as the Pacific Ocean or the Indian Ocean, and that's part of the reason why we've not seen that. So I just thought I'd respond to that very quickly. I think right now the max is 180, 185 with this system. That's where I thought the ceiling was. And the eyewall replacement cycle is proving that at this current point. Would anyone else like to add anything?
So the theoretical maximum for the hurricane right now is 200 miles an hour, considering that is climatology.
No, last I checked it was 195, 190.
Let me see. I want to see that chart again. That's all.
All right, yeah,
go take a look at that. Remember, I might be
all right, the theoretical max right now, based off all data, would be like 190, or 195 realistically. But I don't think this is going to come down. I think this will come down to post analysis.
All right.
I think post analysis, this was likely 185 right before it started the eyewall replacement cycle. But what makes me very worried is that if the eyewall replacement cycle is so quick and you're going to have a jet interaction with no shear for most of the data, more over a loop current, and you have a stronger eye, how much can it go? And you got to remember is that the pressure falling down now, we don't know the pressure tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because eyewall replacement cycles are not just, oh, hey, I'm going to do this small thing. And boop.
Yeah.
It's a process. So we have to wait for the pressure, and even if the pressure doesn't go down as much after this, it might do it again.
All right.
I'm gonna be honest, it might do it again.
All right. Anyway, we have a $5 donation from Laura Harrison. This is it, guys. Thank you for the $5 donation. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Our goal with this channel, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather, and you are doing that by hitting that subscribe button and liking the stream. But in the meantime, though, we have been watching this, and my response to a theoretical max, at least based off of the current observations I'm noticing, I'd go 190. Honestly, that's just my personal opinion. But hey,
Yeah, Pat. Yes, you're very correct. The maximum. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Sure, I did this right. Yeah. Okay, you're right. So 165 knots is 190 miles an hour. So the theoretical peak is 195, considering how much.
All right.
So 195. Yep.
Yeah, and considering it's
So
undergoing.
we were both close.
Yeah, considering it's undergoing an eyeball replacement cycle right now,
Let's be
I think
honest,
that's
though.
going to be it, and we might see a secondary peak of maybe 175, and then it starts weakening after that.
Well,
That's
let's be
honestly-
honest though. Is
I
there
wonder
really
if
a
we could-
difference? Is there really
I
a
wonder-
difference between 195 and 200? No.
Not really.
We have to treat it like a category 5, even a 4. Like this thing,
I would.
we can't really like treat it like a puppy. I mean,
I would
really,
argue that
this
there's
thing,
no difference
200
between a Cat 4 and a Cat 5. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. You know,
That'd be a better
I completely agree.
comparison.
Like, that's what I'm saying. 195 and 200, there's realistically no difference. We're looking at a really, really bad case scenario for Tampa and Florida.
Or Sarasota if
just
it hits
kidding, I'm
that
saying.
far south.
I would like to point out that we don't 100% know. You know why we don't? We have to consider wobbling.
Yep.
We haven't talked about that. The worst case situation is it's planning to go to the north and then the whole thing goes to the Tampa. That would be absolutely guaranteed horrible. And considering that it's moving a little bit slower than forecasted, I'm really fearful also. Fearful. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. And it
Tristan,
might
I'm
make
sorry to cut you
landfall.
off, but someone sent a $2 donation saying Milton is Helene's very angry ex-husband. Now's not the time for jokes, but okay,
That's a
I'll
pretty
give
good
you
one.
that. I'll
All
give
right.
you that.
But this is just going to be a very powerful storm. You have a jet interacting with it. You have it now. If we can't stress this enough, I don't care if this goes another eyewall replacement cycle and we can still free. Your surge is still going to be absolutely horrible.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
if there's any good news, at least it's not pulling its moisture to the Carolinas. That's the only thing I can.
Yeah, they absolutely,
That's the
especially the
only thing.
Appalachian regions, they do not need more of this.
However, Pat, here's my concern.
All right.
What if it's a merger and it only gets the 175 or 160?
We talked to Kaiser about this before stream. It's more likely going to undergo a full ERC instead of a merger. This isn't.
But if it's that quick, how would it weaken that much? Am I missing?
Part of the reason for that, though, is because of, let's be honest, Milton's very small size. Like, it cannot sustain this kind of hurricane forever. It absolutely can't. It can't sustain the structure forever. It has to undergo an ERC sooner rather than later, and it's doing that right now. And I'm not talking like
But
a
it's
merger like Barrel.
convection. It's doing this right before the maximum convection, too. Everything that seems like it's ready to do something unexpected, it's just ready. It's doing it near the loop current, right when a jet interaction should begin soon, and it's doing it with the best convection.
All right.
Something tells me that this storm, this eyewall replacement cycle, will actually be more threatening than helpful in so many ways.
I agree with that. I'm not disputing that at all. I'm just saying that I don't think it's going to be a merger, which is one of those partial ERCs. Tristan, explain to the audience what a merger and the difference between a merger and a full ERC is.
A full eyewall replacement cycle is when the outer eyewall is starving the inner eyewall.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the inner eyewall takes all the strength. The outer eyewall takes all the strength, and then the inner eyewall dies, and then you get a new eye. A merger is basically when two eyewalls can merge with each other. So they're basically reinforcing the storm, making the eyewall strong,
Yeah.
which can help against dry air and shear. But here's the thing about this eyewall replacement cycle, which is why I don't think it's going to strengthen as much. Assuming not strengthen, weaken. There's no dry air.
Yep.
There's none.
All right.
Normally, when we see eyewall replacement cycles, we have a history of seeing dry air next to them 75% of the time.
Yeah. Hey.
For example,
Yeah.
in order for Helene to strengthen, it had to fight dry air. What did it have to do? eyewall replacement cycle.
Pretty much, it underwent a rare Category 1 ERC.
Yep. Sure.
Hey, John, could you get Fire Ant in here? While you're doing that, could you get Fire Ant in here? Because I noticed he's in the audience.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Let me go ahead and do that. All right, we'll get him in here in a second because I want his thoughts on this whole Tampa Bay scenario right now. Hopefully that'll, so that way we can kind of explore all the possible scenarios, because I was talking to him about this previously, and I wanted to get him in here and get his opinions on this. All right, Fire Ant, you are live.
Good evening, everyone. How are you all?
We're doing okay. We're watching a Milton right now, talking about Tampa Bay, talking about this thing undergoing an eyeball replacement cycle. We wanted to bring you in here because you were talking to me about this potentially heading south towards Sarasota instead of hitting Tampa Bay. I want your thoughts on that. I want you to explain to the audience your kind of reasoning behind it.
So, I'm originally from down that area, and there is several factors that go into a storm going south of Tampa Bay or north of Tampa Bay. One of them being the trade winds coming off of the Caribbean and Bermuda,
All right.
and which causes your easterly sea breezes. It has been noted, and they're still doing research on it, that the eastern sea breezes, and I am driving, by the way,
It's okay.
do have a tendency to push the hurricanes towards the north or to the south. However, with a system like this, it has a tendency to build its own atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to a meteorologist, and he was actually telling me what we're seeing right now is the correlation between the trade winds coming across Florida, if you will, from the east to west, and you can see it on satellite quite well.
Yep.
And then the frontal system coming down out of the Pacific Northwest and draping across Florida and doing a squeeze play, and a low pressure system at the mid levels sitting in the Gulf. There's actually a low pressure system there.
All right.
At the mid levels. So what's happening is all this is squeezing it to the east. Now, will it lift north? Yes, it will go north at some point. When? Nobody knows. But because of all these three mechanisms, it's got a higher probability of missing Tampa Bay than what it did, say, 2 days ago.
All right.
Or even yesterday. With that being said, this is a very tricky situation. If it goes beyond longitude 88.5, Tampa Bay, for the most part, would be in the clear. As a direct hit. Let me emphasize this: a direct hit. They will be impacted. It won't be a direct hit.
All right.
If this makes sense to you, this is
Okay.
a worst case scenario.
All right.
Best case scenario, it goes right into the Everglades on the West Coast side, and everybody's okay.
Well, not everybody. A lot of people will still get impacted by that. It's a lose-lose
Yeah.
situation no matter where we go.
I have left work at 8:30, so I have not been able to see the latest recon data.
Recon data has this at a Cat 5 with 180, and so is the NHC. But Recon's also finding an eyewall replacement cycle underway.
Okay, is that also a center relocation? Because that's going to be important as well.
It's basically when the outer eyeball forms and chokes out the inner eyeball, and the eye gets much larger in size, which pushes out the wind field.
Yeah, because the storm needs to grow. I think it's at its maximum intensity at the size it is.
I agree.
It's either going to grow, or it's going to collapse on itself.
It's obviously going to do the former. It's starting to do that right now with its ERC.
That's what I was not hoping for.
Yeah, neither was I.
Kat, would you like me to talk about Tampa Bay and what the worst case scenario is?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do I have time? I mean, unless if you all have an agenda that I don't
We
know
don't.
about,
No, you're
I'm
good.
just
You're good.
joining.
You're good,
So
man. You're good.
I'm good.
Yeah.
All right, you all. I grew up in St. Petersburg, Florida. That's not a secret. I actually attended St. Petersburg High School, graduated in '97. So I am very familiar with everything that goes on down there.
All right.
With this storm, and it's going to be hard to. Hopefully, I can explain it real good. Basically, with this storm, if this were to hit Indian Rocks Beach, follow me on this, people.
All
If
right.
it were to hit Indian Rocks Beach, which is on the Gulf Coast of Pinellas County, and it hits at noon, you would get 20-foot storm surge coming in from the Gulf. You would also get 20-foot storm surge coming in off of the Tampa Bay.
All right.
It's a 40-foot storm surge. Basically, and I'm not trying to scare anybody, Pinellas County would be Atlantis. That's
Yeah,
the best way I
that's
can describe it. The highest point in St. Petersburg, Florida, is on 5th Avenue and 34th Street North.
all right.
That is at approximately 48 feet above sea level.
Okay.
That would be the island. That would be the island of St. Petersburg.
All right.
Everything else would be submerged.
During the
Your
hurricane.
bridges during the hurricane.
All right.
Tampa Bay would actually form with the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too optimal. But
This hasn't happened. This hasn't happened in over 100 years.
oh yeah, 1921.
People in the Bay Area need to understand. People have been crying wolf for the longest. We've been real lucky down there. And I'm saying we because I'm a Floridian, born and raised there. We've been real lucky down there. The problem is, and I've talked to my own family, I've talked to my friends that I went to high school with. They're all saying, oh, we'll be okay. What's a little flooding? It's because people have cried wolf so many times. We're just numb to it and expect the storms to go north and south.
Yeah.
We cannot, if you live in the Bay Area, do that. You need to get out. You really do.
Yep. Even if it like,
Because
there's still a chance this could
even if-
hit, so I would get out. If you're told to evacuate, evacuate.
and I'm going to give you all a prime example of this. There's 5 ways out of St. Petersburg. The storm's coming up from the south. You're not going to go south. You're not going to go into Sarasota or Manatee counties because they're under countywide mandatory evacuations. In other words, those whole counties they're supposed to be leaving.
All right.
And if you live down there, get out. So going down over the Sunshine Skyway, no bueno. That's just, don't even do, because you're just running into the storm at that point, possibly.
All right.
So the only way St. Petersburg can evacuate is through the Gandy Bridge, the Howard Franklin Bridge, the Courtney Campbell, US 19, or even Oldsmar Road off of McMullen Booth.
All right.
That's the 5 ways out to go inland. However, if you all live down there, you all know the Courtney Campbell floods.
Yeah.
Do not wait. Once the water starts to come in, it will overtake the Gandy Bridge, the Howard Franklin, and the Courtney Campbell, therefore causing you to be cut off to
All
get
right.
into Tampa. However, you go on US 19 heading north into Clearwater and all that, that's lower lying area, that's going to be flooded real quick. You try McMullen Booth Road, that's right on the mouth of Tampa Bay in the northern part of it, right above St. Pete Clearwater Airport. That's going to be flooded. You're cut off.
All right. So
You have nowhere to go.
okay. So all right. So where should people go?
My advice to you all is that based on the storm track, I would head actually into Ocala, Gainesville, start going up that way.
All right.
And remember, people, if you're traveling and listening to this right now on 275, it's a mess. Find an alternative route. Let Google Maps get you Just type in Gainesville. Let Google Maps find you the quickest way up there.
All right.
It may be side roads. It may be all that. That's all well and good, but it will get you around all that traffic. And believe me, I-4 is going to be just as bad.
All right. All right. I-4 corridor. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Because we're taught to go to Orlando. We're taught to go inland towards Orlando. Orlando. That's the evacuation route. 275 over to I-4 and towards Orlando. Don't go up there. Start heading north.
All right. And what's your main reason? Just it's going to be so crowded and clogged?
That is one of the main reasons. Remember, this storm, if it does start to take a northeast track, when it interacts with land, it's going to wobble, which is going to put it just south of Orlando.
All right.
So you're still going to be in the storm's path.
Oh, yeah.
The idea of when you evacuate is to get out of the path if you can.
All right.
That's the idea. So go north.
All right. What about Tallahassee? Would that be a good place to go?
That's about a 4.5 hour drive up US 19.
Yeah.
That's under ideal conditions. Longer with all the traffic.
All right. We just got an $11.11 donation by Lemon Lizard. If it makes landfall at Sarasota, what's weather like in Ave Maria, Florida? Immokalee, etc. And what time? Thank you. If it makes landfall in Sarasota, Fire Ant, you know this better than I. You know this better than I do. What are your thoughts on this?
I honestly believe Sarasota, Manatee County is going to be the bullseye. I really do. I personally believe, based on what I saw this evening at 5 o'clock, was the last time I looked at the motion of it. I honestly believe it's going to be around Venice Beach.
All right. What about Ave Maria and in those
Anna
areas?
Maria Island, that will not exist.
All right.
That will not exist.
All right.
You saw what Anna Maria Island looks like now after Hurricane Helene being about 100 miles offshore.
Sure.
Imagine what it looks like if this thing hits as a Cat 4.
Yeah.
We're looking at a storm, you all.
All right.
If it comes on shore at landfall as a Cat 4, you got to think of Andrew. Scary, I know.
Yeah.
If it comes on as a Cat 5, the way it is now, think Katrina on steroids.
I don't think it's going to come up as a Cat 5. There's going to be wind shear that's going to slow it down.
And that's the trade winds, and that's what I'm hoping for. I'm really hoping the trade winds knock this storm down. I really, really do, you all.
Yep.
I really, really do.
Unfortunately, with tropical jet, I'm not thinking that.
Yeah. What's up? Yeah.
We'll have to see, though. We have to watch. But have to send me. I'm sorry. I was downstairs doing a few chores.
No, you're fine. Anyway, hey, Tristan,
I saw the image that you sent me. And I don't like the way that convection is just swirling around the eye like nothing's happening.
What I will say is I'm noticing the eye around it is kind of starting to degrade. It's becoming a lot more clouded. And I thought the structure itself was starting to degrade quite a bit. I'm also noticing the storm is starting to expand in size just a little bit. It's pushing out a little bit more, which is absolutely not optimal. If you're noticing on actually, I can go ahead and stream it on the Discord for everyone here just to take a look at, except for Fire, because he's driving. So keep your eyes on the road. But here's what I'm looking at, and I'll zoom in for you guys. I'm noticing we're starting to see the storm expand in size a little bit, if you guys can see it. What are your thoughts on that, or am I just misanalyzing this?
Is actually
it appears to be on satellite appearances a little bit.
And I'm glad you brought the satellite thing up. I do want to say something on that
All right.
with the models and everything. The models, they're behind 6 hours because they don't know how to handle this storm.
All right.
However, with everything happening to the storm right now, the models are trying to get caught up.
Yeah. All right. We got a $10 donation from Contingency Scholar. Keep doing what you're doing, gentlemen and scholars. Thank you for the $10 donation. Very much appreciate it. But anyway, go ahead, Tony.
So the models are having a hard time, and I was actually talking to one of our friends we all know, Fancy Hippie.
Brendan,
He was actually telling me that the models are really struggling with this.
Yeah.
And any information the models are receiving, they're just having a hard time crunching it.
Yep.
That's why we're seeing the track all over the place, because the models don't even know. This thing's creating its own atmosphere, it seems like.
That's what Tristan was saying earlier.
That's what these big storms do. These category 4s and 5s.
Yep.
Dorian is a prime example. Katrina is a prime example. Andrew was a prime example of creating its own atmosphere above it and creating its own steering.
Yeah.
I would like to say real quick. So, do you know the models that predicted the below 800 millibars?
Yeah.
They also predicted this eyewall replacement cycle before going off.
Yeah, I saw it. Needless to say,
I wonder if it's actually going to happen, and if they're behind fire ant, and we already saw what this storm could do, and they were showing an ERC and below 800, it could do it again. Honestly, there's no way of saying it can't do it again. Can there?
I don't know, because there's the environmental impact can actually agree to this. The environmental conditions have to be perfect for it to happen again.
Yep.
Oh, and it's perfect.
What I mean by that, I mean what's going on in the upper levels and the mid levels of the storm.
Yeah, they're perfect.
Because
for now, they're perfect. By the way, they're saying. Go ahead.
They're doing pretty well so far, that's for sure.
Yep. Because there's going to be this jet interaction. We talked about jet angle and all of that. It's going to have that process again. And if we seen during Ian and all those other stuff, the way that it shows that jet kind of riding around the north part of the storm is very good, because it's going to be on a jet max. It's going to be on that southeastern quadrant of the subtropical jet. So, and then you have no dry air. The flow prevents dry air. And so far, the eyewall replacement cycle in terms of pressure hasn't done anything.
So you touched on the dry air, and I do want to bring that up. Even if this thing does, we saw this with Andrew. Even if this thing does get some dry air into it, it's not going to affect it. It's not going to affect it.
Yeah.
Because it's too small of a storm.
Yeah. Hey, John, could you let weather... Oh, never mind. He's already back in. Just go ahead. Continue, Tony.
Hey.
So we saw this with Andrew. I'm comparing this storm to Andrew because of the size. Andrew was about the same size.
It won't be for very long.
I agree to that, and I'm hoping it does not get bigger. I don't want it to get bigger, but reality is it's probably going to.
Unfortunately.
It's going to get bigger. It's going to get stronger, and I think it's going to do all right. After it does this eyewall replacement cycle, it's still got the loop current and the favorable jet interaction holding.
Yeah. We got a $10 donation by Peter Moss. Hope Milton is not shear resistant like Barrel was. Yeah, I remember that. That was quite something. That was quite something.
We thought that was something until this happened.
Yep.
And anyway, I'm back, by the way.
Hey, Daniel. But yeah, we were just looking at that.
You know,
singing,
can I say something when you guys
Go ahead, Weather Kingdom.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed too, I know you were just talking about the models being really, really bad, just not picking up the strength of this. And I know that. I'm just gonna say they are lacking behind, but in each run they are trending stronger and stronger for the landfall. So how strong this will be tomorrow night, could really really be crucial for the landfall in Florida.
Yeah.
Basically saying that in a sense the interaction with the jet, basically, even though it won't make it strengthen as much anymore by Wednesday, will basically be a support factor. It may shear it a little bit, but it's not going to be the deadly shear that we thought it would.
Exactly.
Hey, Tristan.
And that increases tornado probability, lift probability. That increases the size of the storm. If it sustains, that's even worse. We have to watch how this eyewall replacement cycle goes. I think this eyewall replacement cycle and the way it redoes strengthening after it does this will be the deciding factor in Florida's fate. And unfortunately, so far, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, Florida. You ain't getting lucky so far. Normally you are. Not today. Seems like
Speaking of eyewall replacement cycles, Tristan, look at my stream. We're seeing a huge burst of minus 90 cloud tops on the southeastern side of this system.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that
Yep.
up. So this eyewall replacement cycle, can we look on radar if you have it?
Hey, Tristan, could you pull up radar for us?
radar doesn't show it as good, unfortunately.
Because, on satellite, to me, I mean, I know the eye is definitely...
It's clouding up a lot more.
Clouding up a lot. But, that convection, the pinks and the convection's wrapping around, probably the best I have seen it.
Yeah, you see what I mean by it seems like it's not doing anything in a way.
Exactly.
Yeah, and by the way, the pressure is still 909 millibars.
Oh, yeah, this is expanding in
Holding
size,
on.
too. I'm not sure if you guys are seeing my stream, but this is
it's
expanding in
holding
size,
on.
especially on the southeast side of
It's,
it.
yep. It's
I need to ask a
expanding
question
and
from Pat.
holding.
What's up?
Does an eyewall replacement cycle do the initial weakening and then the storm sustains during it? Or does it weaken over the actual process?
The eyewall, it weakens over the actual process because you have to first build up your outer eyewall, and then when those two eyewalls start to, when the inner eyewall gets choked out, that's usually the stronger one, and the outer eyewall starts to overtake it. And because the inner eyewall is the stronger of the two, that's how it weakens, because the inner eyewall kind of both implodes and merges with the outer one.
In pressure or
in wind speed? Well, technically
wind
both, but more so in wind speed.
Once
So
again,
basically, if you think about it in a way, the winds
They
can
missed the eye.
technically somewhat
Again.
just come back.
you're kidding, right?
You know,
I
No.
wish I was.
well, that's
Wait,
crazy.
what happened?
How do they keep...
For safety reasons, there's a lot of mesovortices in there, Weather Kingdom.
But, oh
They
my
did-
goodness.
They actually spun around in there.
They did find a very, very strong flight level winds. Very
Strongest
strong.
I'm seeing is 155
100
knots.
I'm seeing 160.
Oh,
160 knots at flight
Knots.
level. This is what I mean. It
Like-
feels like
And
more
they
of
do
a
not
merger
have it
so far.
flagged. And they do not have it flagged.
not
By the
optimal.
Can I point something out?
Go ahead.
This wobbled
Yeah.
a little to the south.
Oh, I'm looking at it.
Look at the infrared.
Yeah, I saw it, but
wobbling
that
back
could
and
partly
forth.
be attributed to the storm clouding up some more and it undergoing its eyeball replacement cycle. It's interesting.
I
One
don't
thing
know.
is, though, the winds are...
I just
withstanding.
think that the pressure, because remember, I think the pressures they're getting of the 910 is not the inner eye wall. That's the outer eye wall.
Yeah.
That's why I'm thinking it didn't really weaken right now. But I think it's
I
just
agree.
beginning its process. And this is a time to be very patient. Because so far, I'm seeing it weakened a little bit in pressure, but then all the pressure just decided to split equally. I don't think it really went down. So
I
far.
agree. Because I'm looking at the if you look at the SFMR on that latest pass, they're seeing 170 knots.
Okay, I got an $11 donation by Taco Phillips Exquisite. No, Anna Maria is northeast of Naples, inland 50 minutes. If it makes landfall in Venice near Sarasota, what's the what's the weather in Ave Maria? Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that. In that case, if in that case, I would expect maybe strong tropical storm conditions. If it pushes further to the south, then you could start talking hurricane conditions. That's my opinion on it.
Remember when they flagged at 170?
Yeah.
They did find another 170.
Just now?
Yeah. If you look at
That's
the
unflagged.
SFMR data,
Yeah, that's unflagged too.
exactly. So maybe that 170 was true, and we might be.
We need drops and data
How
to
strong
confirm
is
that,
that?
though.
Okay, but how strong would that be? 170 knots.
195 miles an hour. But then again, if you look at the flight level, which is around 158, SFMR around 168, blend it, that's 163 knots. That would be around 190 miles an hour.
Still, because
so basically, what you're saying is that this thing
it's
got a tiny bit stronger even during the beginning.
We need drops in data to confirm it first. That's the thing. But
I think
so.
Eyewall replacement.
You know what's
I
really
don't think it's doing too much. It's just widening out the storm and it's withstanding its strength.
Yeah, the size is already showing a noticeable
increase.
increase. We're already seeing a noticeable increase in size, especially on the eastern side of it.
Yeah, but you have to remember is that technically eyewall replacement cycle did just begin. So there could be a thing where this storm is just being able to hold on for how long it can, and then suddenly, it actually decreases in strength. However, what's concerning me is that, one, eyewall replacement cycle speaking during the entire process, but if it's just growing in size and mostly keeping its protection, is it really going to feel the whole effect of it in terms of will it really go down? And secondly, even if it goes down, the conditions are so good, depending on the evolution, it has a loop current and a trough interaction ready for it. I don't think it matters, honestly, and unfortunately, I mean matters in terms of good for the people.
Okay.
This is horrible for the people. But you also got to consider the size and the surge. So, is this really a good thing happening? No, I really don't think it is.
I think we can all agree that this is not good, that this is undergoing it. This is undergoing it too fast, Tristan. That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the problem I'm noticing with this. Because if it happened maybe in the next 18, 24 hours as it was crossing crossing the Yucatan Strait, just north of that, it would be a different story. But no. That's not the case.
It's happening before.
It's happening now.
Yeah.
But I am noticing the structure is starting to degrade a little bit with the minus 80 cloud top starting to decrease quite a bit in terms of its uniformity. But that's also noticing the storm's pushing out in size. It's like over the last several frames, it's pretty much universally pushing out across the board. That is very bad news.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That is very bad news.
So I have a question for Tristan. How long do you think this eyewall replacement cycle will take? Would it be done by the morning?
It depends on the evolution of the storm. Sometimes storms can have perfect conditions and be just stupid with their replacement. Sometimes it could go very quickly. Sometimes it could be normal. It just all depends on the evolution.
Yeah.
From what you're seeing now, is it ahead of pace, or you think it's right now normal?
It's going exactly the way it should right now, but if it goes really fast, then we have a problem.
For sure. All right, for those who want to come join our Discord server so we to see the behind the scenes of what's been going on with the stream, be sure to join the Storms United Discord server. It is the pinned chat and the link. It's the pinned in the links in the pinned chat above. Also, be sure to like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's get more people engaged with weather. We have a lot of support tonight, over 300 people in chat. Thank you very much for joining as we continue this coverage on Hurricane Milton. But anyway, you guys can go ahead and continue.
Give me a second, because Alex thinks there's shear tomorrow when multiple sources said there's not going. No.
There's something we haven't talked about. Unless if I missed it, Pat.
Guys,
What's up?
The 10% sitting off of the Florida East Coast.
I'm not worried about.
Yeah, it's a 20%.
No, because this is going to be an influencer on what this hurricane does.
All right.
Explain.
So basically, whatever direction that 10% is going in, because it's riding the same front, is the direction the hurricane's going to go in.
Okay.
So right now, that 10%, I just looped it. That's why I've been so
20%.
quiet. 20%. I just looped it. It's actually going to the east.
Okay.
It's riding the same front. So this hurricane may not turn.
No, no, that's not going to
And
happen.
I'm going to let me explain.
All right.
That front should be breaking down, and it's not. That's coming from the NHC 2 days ago. Today should have been the day that front should have broken down and a new trough starting to form to make it turn, and it's not doing that. It's holding its own.
That's not going to.
Which would actually place it in a better position for strengthening, because the more south you go, the less shear you get.
Here's the thing.
Exactly.
Here's the thing, though, because I'd like to respond to this. There's yes, I'm noticing that front as well, but there's also two other factors I talked to you about that's going to drive this system further to the north. One of them is the trough that's going to yank it further up to the north because low pressure systems attract each other, and the other one is Coriolis force, which is basically pretty much how these hurricanes get their spin. And from what I remember from my class in tropical meteorology, the stronger the hurricane is, the further up to the north that this typically will end up wobbling, mainly because of its strength, because Coriolis force Coriolis is stronger away from the equator and more towards the poles. And considering this is a 180 mile per hour hurricane right now, I'd argue it has a pretty good chance of shifting it back up to the north unless there's a very strong frontal boundary that's keeping it going east. So
there's
which
one
would just
dropping.
give it more strengthening.
There is one dropping out of the Midwest.
yeah, I saw it. I've seen it.
I think if that drops far enough, it will suppress it and continue to make it go east. Because that is another cold front.
I
there
don't
is
see it going.
cold air behind
I don't
it.
see it going that far east. Maybe that's the thing. If it does,
Yeah.
that'd be a big problem, especially for Port Charlotte and those who were affected by Hurricane Ian 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah, but if it does do that though,
As far as that trough setting up, I haven't seen it set up yet.
all right.
Now, I know it goes ridge, trough, ridge. I get that.
Yep.
And I know at some point a trough is going to have to develop. When and where is that trough going to develop?
All right.
Because you got that cold front that this thing is attached to has now become a stationary front. It looks like on the maps.
All
They're
right.
marking it as stationary. So that means that front's not moving.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm checking I'm checking 500 millibar heights right here to try to find it. It looks like that trough right now is already started. According to the latest runs, is expected to start to set up. I'd say in the next 12 hours, from what I'm looking at.
Okay, where is it going to set up at? That's also going to be a key player.
It's generally going to be off of the Atlantic Ocean and in the and on the East Coast, like in the Carolinas, like Mid-Atlantic, that area, and it's going to pick it up and push it north. Generally, yeah. And then as it gets more refined, it's going to be off the East Coast and around New Jersey, Delaware, the Mid-Atlantic region. That's what I saw. Yeah, I'm looking at it as well. So I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's. I think this is going to come down to timing with that trough.
Oh yeah.
If it's going to turn north.
I mean, it's yeah. What's up, Weather Kingdom?
No, I'm seeing what he's talking about.
Yeah, so am I.
I'm just looking.
Yeah, I was just taking a look at it as well.
Yeah, because I've noticed, because the NHC did say it's supposed to start to turn at some point near the Yucatan Peninsula.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like between now and midnight, it was supposed to start to turn, and it's not going to do that.
NHC doesn't have the start to turn until probably, I'd say, like overnight tonight, from what I've seen with the latest cone.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and earlier today it did.
All right.
I
It went through a northern wobble with it.
Yeah.
Not a full turn, but a wobble.
Oh yeah.
So who thinks? Oh, do you think we can have another tropical storm from that 20%, Tristan?
It would be basically one of those luck situations. I don't know.
That's not my main focus right now. My focus is on Hurricane Milton.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously important to watch it, but
yeah. Also, I was looking through the chat, and someone did ask, how often is it for major hurricanes to form in the Gulf? To give y'all perspective, the last major hurricane to form in the Gulf of Mexico was Brett 1999, and before that was Alicia 83, Anita 77, and Audrey 57. Anita 77 used to be the most intense hurricane to form in the Gulf of Mexico. Keep that in mind. To form in the Gulf of Mexico at 924 millibars and winds of 75. This would shatter that by, what is it, a good 20, 30 millibars and a good 5 miles an hour?
yeah.
So that is just insane of how historic this storm really is. I'm not saying this is going to be like an Audrey, an Anita, an Alicia, Brett 99 didn't really. I'm not saying this is going to be like any of those four storms I mentioned, but definitely, I feel like this storm is basically in a league of its own.
Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah, so this has not happened in 25 years, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pat,
well,
Pat, just for entertainment value, Pat.
Sure.
Can you tell me the distance between our hurricane and the 20% off of in the Bahamas? What's the distance, the mileage?
I can
There's
give you
a
that.
reason why I'm asking this. There's a reason why I'm asking this.
About 700-ish miles. Go ahead.
700 miles.
Yeah.
Can you look at the mid-level winds? Like around, say, 750?
I don't have access to 750. I can do 700, though.
Hey, Tristan,
Okay.
Can you look at the latest radar? Not the latest radar, the latest satellite, because I'm starting to notice, I think that bigger eye is starting to develop again. If you look at that, Pat, on
What's
the
up?
Dapia page,
Sure.
look on the satellite and reset it. Are you noticing it's starting to warm in that entire eye? If you go to the IR,
Let me look at it.
By the way, pressure
in
is
the last few frames.
Pressure is 911.
All right. Yeah, I'm noticing it too. I know what you're talking about as well, but we need more time to figure out what exactly is going to be going on. I'm watching as well.
So that's interesting.
But clouds are, it's still starting to cloud up even more, though, from the latest frames, though. I am watching it, though.
What do you mean it's clouding up more?
Like, those cloud tops, like minus 70s and all that, it's Like they're completely surrounding and are completely closing in on the eye, and those cloud tops are covering it right now while this is undergoing this ERC. That's
Hey,
what I'm
is that
noticing.
is that drifting southward?
What?
Is that drifting southward? Southward?
Not. I'm looking at it.
It's
Not.
completely clouded up on visible, basically.
Yeah, it's clouded up, but not quite. It's still moving generally east, just a little bit north of east. It's just hard to tell because it's undergoing this eye oil replacement cycle, and the eye's just kind of doing its thing right now.
No, Pat.
What's
Pat,
up?
It is moving slightly south.
What makes you say that? From
I could see it on. I could see it on the infrared. It is moving a little bit southward.
hey, is there a radar close to this system, Tristan, so we can
Yeah, I
confirm
really
that?
want a radar.
'Cause
Doppler radar in Cancun.
that's the closest we got.
Yeah. It doesn't have a loop, though.
Unfortunate. Well, I'll see if there's.
Unfortunate, however, interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
I always work up some magic.
Is there one near
Because remember,
Merida? Is there one near Merida in
Remember.
Mexico?
Remember, you can't have two lows next to each other. They're going to repel each other. It's kind of like when you take two tops and spin them
Yeah.
at the same time, and they bump into each other. They reflect off of each other.
Yeah.
Magic! I got the magic up again. Let's go.
What'd you get?
And remember,
I got the magic, and you know what? Radar trended. It's going east. However, fire ant is white. It did wobble southeast a little bit.
Oh, that's
2 times.
interesting.
Interesting.
All
and I
right.
know why.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
Making
Fire Ant.
sense. Because you got that 20% sitting off of the coast of Florida, which is trying to develop a low.
Yeah.
So therefore, you can't have two lows next to each other. They're going to repel each other.
All
Now
right.
the question is, which one's going to get shoved out of the way? I don't know. But right now, it looks like the hurricane is the one losing this
Yeah.
battle between the two. That's why I asked you how many. 700 miles is pretty close to each other.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean, we
well
think
within
700 miles
that's well within the low
far.
or area of synoptics.
Yeah.
And they're technically already touching each other.
Which,
They're colliding already. Outflows and even the outer edges
That's
of
what's
this
happening.
stuff is touching.
Hey, Tristan, can you send the radar?
So you're saying
he's-
it's kind of being pushed out a little bit?
What do
Tony?
you mean?
it's being forced down. It's being forced down. Because think of your motion. Think of your low pressure motion. It goes in a clockwise circle. So therefore, the one that's spinning coming across Florida towards the west is impacting the one coming east, and it's forcing it downwards.
All right.
Yeah, very weird setup.
Because that low is a little bit higher than the hurricane right now,
Yeah, I am
position
noticing
wise.
it a little
So
bit.
it's forcing it to come down, forcing it to go down.
Put that in
That
perspective,
could
it's
also
around
be
Great Bahama.
attributed to just the storm just being so strong. There's also a chance of that.
Yeah, that too. And maybe a center relocation. I don't know.
A hurricane of this strength does not,
But right
and considering
now-
how stacked it is, does not relocate its center.
Yeah.
Like, the only way
Right
for that to
now-
happen is if it developed a new mid-level circulation and low-level circulation simultaneously and took all the convection with it. Otherwise, it would kill off the cyclone and have to start from square one.
Exactly.
Yep. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
There's still lightning in the eye wall.
That's
I
not
did
good.
notice that.
Well,
And
There's still
I
lightning
think
in
the
eye wall?
eye wall replacement cycle, the eye is definitely going to end up bigger because if you looked on satellite, you're noticing that instead of that pinhole eye, you're starting to see an actual eye.
Oh yeah, I'm noticing that too. Are you guys
You're
seeing
starting to
this?
see a bigger eye than the pinhole. So I
Are-
think this might be picking up a little bit faster on its eyewall replacement cycle
All right.
that Tristan was worried
Yeah,
about.
Tristan, what are your thoughts on this? I want your take on it. And can you confirm with radar that this is what we're seeing?
Tristan?
Okay.
And it's expanding too.
Yeah, Tristan's. Yeah, he's deafened right now.
The storm is growing,
Yeah.
by the way.
That's not good at all because, yeah, you guys are noticing that it's just kind of pushing out a lot more. It was relatively subtle before. Now I feel like as you zoom in to infrared, it's a lot more obvious now because before it was just on the eastern side. Now it's pretty much every which way. So, yeah, quite interesting stuff has been going on. So
It's also part of the new convection blast towards the east as well. That's making that look a little better. I mean, it's a very slight increase, but it is an increase.
that's why I said it was becoming more obvious every frame we look at it.
It currently looks like an egg.
All right.
I
Definitely.
mean, actually, kind of. I don't know. I mean,
oh yeah, I know
kind
it
of looks like a grenade.
Yeah, Weather Kingdom. What he was right. Are you guys noticing what we're seeing on satellite with the eye getting a lot larger? At least in terms of appearance.
I don't because it's getting clouded over.
What?
Water vapor is not showing it getting bigger.
Let me take a look
No,
at
water
water
vapor.
vapor.
Pat,
Yeah.
it's very much
Yeah.
filling in. Fully.
All right.
I think it's gonna fully fill in with the higher negative Celsius and then clear out again.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking's going on. I just thought this was interesting, and
But it might be so intense its intensity will hold for the most part.
And I can confirm on water vapor, it is moving southeast. The center itself is moving southeast.
It is a little bit, but it's not gonna. But it doesn't look like it's gonna slam into the Yucatan Peninsula. It's
not gonna slam into it, but it's gonna get closer to it.
That's really bad because that puts it further away from the wind shear, and that would not be optimal.
Which would push the eye wall itself onto land. It seems, at least part of it, not the eye itself, but the eye wall.
No, it's too far. It's too far away from land for that to happen. At least right now, definitely the outer bands would get there, but I wouldn't say really anywhere in the core is going to get into that. The absolute core is going to get impact.
You sure, Pat? No. Pat, you sure about that?
Yes.
Pat, you might want to look closer.
I am looking closer.
I don't think you're picking up on it yet.
Yeah.
This isn't.
If it stays on that course, it's going to brush that shore.
Yeah, I understand that, but what I'm seeing is just a wobble and not exactly a trend or a shift further to the southeast. Now, give it another hour. Give it another hour.
Hey, Pat, sorry to interrupt, but it's been doing that for like 2 hours now.
No, not quite.
Yes. Yes, Pat. Yes, it has.
Oh my God. Not quite. It's. Let me look. Okay. Tropical Tidbits wants to take a while to. It hasn't been doing that. I've been looking at it. I don't know. Okay.
9:30 Eastern time in 15 minutes. We know everything gets updated every 15 minutes on the loops. So at 9:45, let's go back and let's see what it does.
All right, that's
Or
fair.
about there.
Yeah, because if it were doing it, that'd be really bad.
Yeah. And right now it is doing it. I don't think that's a wobble. That
Little significant for a wobble.
excuse the language, Pat. If that's a wobble, that's a hell of a wobble.
I need more evidence
Which,
first.
once
That's
again-
the thing. Because here's the thing.
This is going to affect the track.
Yeah, I was gonna say this has major implications because if it's pushing
Yeah.
further to the south and it's shifting further to the south, then that puts it further away from the wind shear. That puts it, that just gives it more room to grow and strengthen after it finishes this eyewall replacement cycle, and it's just overall not very good at all.
And see, this goes back to the models. The models didn't even pick this up. This is how confusing this system is with the models, and
Pat,
the
to
models
put
are
this in
having a hard time with
perspective,
this.
put this in perspective. It's less than 50 miles away from the coastline. The eye wall.
Okay.
As of right now.
All
And
right.
it's continuously moving southeast. On that.
Hey, how far out, like, I don't know if we have an answer to this. How far out are these winds that are like 137 knots and all of that? How
Not
far
that-
out?
not-
The
are
eye
they?
wall is
that
4 nautical
far
miles. It's
from-
the inner eye wall is 4 nautical miles across.
So that's
Yeah,
about,
and then the hurricane force winds extend 30 miles out. The tropical storm force winds 80.
So they're already
So this
getting
storm is tight.
tropical storm force winds.
yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. The closer this thing gets to the shore, the more likelihood
Okay,
they're going
Pat.
to encounter the stronger
Pat.
winds.
Want to see what we're talking about?
Yes.
If I could screen share.
Sure, go right ahead.
You need to stop you need to stop screen sharing
I'll need to see your stream.
for me to do that.
Yeah, I will in a second. Just go ahead and get ready.
I already have it ready,
Oh, you,
pretty much.
I don't see your
I
stream.
can't screen share. No, we can't screen share. Two people can't screen share at the same time. And
Oh, I'll go ahead and
stage.
go ahead and do that. Go ahead and put your stuff on.
So actually, on Zoomer, if they have a bit of a radar, but it's kind of a little
Yeah.
dicey. But just watch this.
All right.
Watch where it heads. It's dipping south.
That's
See,
that's moving
that's not a
due east,
wobble.
Daniel. That's
little
moving due
southward.
east. It shifted to the north, then shifted back to the south a little bit. That wobbled, and then it's moving due east. I'm seeing it as well. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but it shifted to the north, then it shifted back to the south, and then it shifted back to the east.
Yeah, it's wobbling, which is normal eyewall replacement cycle.
There you go.
So it's kind of doing both right now. It's doing a turn to the north, turn to the south.
Yeah, it's
But
been
the eye is starting to really close up.
yeah, for sure.
We will have to see what the pressures are tomorrow, because
Yeah.
that matters a lot.
All right.
Is there a plane in there?
Yes, there's several
I
reconnaissance planes in there.
I don't think it.
I think there's only one left. I think one finished.
Oh yeah, Mission 10's done.
What?
Mission 11's left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the quietest we've ever had on stream. Shocking.
All right, let's
They just reported Mission 11 just reported 906 906, then it went up to 912 millibars, and it is moving southeast
It's
on the marker.
I'm noticing that as well, but
It looks like a small one.
yeah, it's been moving back and forth. Mission 10 saw it shift to the south and shift back to the north. It's very subtle with it. So, yeah. But yeah, I just saw that satellite imagery, Daniel, that you sent, and it definitely went back to the south for a little bit, shifted to the north, shifted to the south, but it's been mainly staying to the east. Based off of what
This last little frame really shows it shift back towards the south near the ends of this loop. Because I showed you Zoom Earth is not fully updated. That's like 30 minutes ago.
Well, I have satellite imagery that's only a few minutes old. But anyway, regardless of that, I think what we should be paying attention to is just how this eyewall replacement cycle has been undergoing, and just what all these wobbles could indicate for a potential landfall spot heading for Florida. That's our main focus, because this is pretty bad. This is pretty bad if it does go east southeast. That would not be optimal, because that would put it further away from the wind shear, and just wanted to thought I'd make that point. But anyway, yeah. So if this keeps wobbling, what would ultimately the track result in your guys' opinions?
That's hard to say, because, as we know with these hurricanes, when they wobble, that's going to, depending on how far down they wobble or how far north they wobble, you could be looking at an area of like maybe 100 miles that can shift this track completely, either to the north or to the south.
All right.
These wobblers are, even if it's a 25-mile wobble, can still affect the track by 75 to 100 miles.
All right. Okay. Anyone else? All right.
Oh,
go ahead, Tristan.
So wobbles will likely do some of the future storm's fate. The more north it goes, the more shear. The more south it goes, the more of a good interaction with the jet. So I'm curious.
All right. Let's recon.
It just depends.
It definitely does. Wonder what. I hope Recon's going to make another pass into the eye pretty soon, so hopefully we'll get a general idea of what's going on in there. But regardless of that, we're finding a lot of stuff that I do not like to see in any regard with this hurricane. This is a Cat 5. This has a very low pressure, around 912 millibars right now. Has gone up quite a bit, but it's undergoing an eyewall replacement cycle. And Tristan, I wanted to ask you this before, but on satellites, like on radar, excuse me, how's the eyewall replacement cycle going? If you could get a radar.
I have a radar from Mexico. Unfortunately, it's not really giving me the best look. I can tell you. And there's a bunch of motes on the radar around the inner eyewall. And the inner eyewall right now in the latest frame was very
all right
in some capacity. So this is actually very bad, because that means the inner eyewall is just giving into the outer eyewall, which I don't know if a faster replacement means the storm is going to its strength a lot better.
A faster replacement means that essentially the storm can organize a lot faster.
So if radar is telling the truth, and remember, this is the Mexican radar. Sadly, this is from a radar a little bit more far away, and that's only because when I tried the Cancun radar, it just its data was so backed up. But I will tell you that so far from what I'm seeing, it looks like the inner eye wall is just somewhat giving way, which is really bad because that storm is doing eye wall. Remember, this is from Doppler radar, though. This is from a little bit far away, and recon might have a different scenario. The inner eye wall is kind of either fighting it or it's doing the normal thing,
Yeah.
slowly going.
Hey, Tony.
So, of course,
Hey, Tony, you might be right on that track further to the south, because model
Yeah.
consensus of the 18-0Z is now showing this hitting south of Tampa Bay towards Sarasota, and in intensity models, not fantastic either. Gradual weakening for the next couple of days before landfall.
That's good. Want weakening.
It's good in the terms of it's good in terms of in terms of weakening before making landfall gradually, but based on what we're seeing right now with the eyeball replacement cycle, how it's taking place with pretty much what we're seeing with all these wobbles, I'm concerned that pretty much now it's going to be get pushed further away from that trough and that wind shear. Well, and that wind shear that goes with it. So that's my main concern with it. It's kind of a pick your poison type of situation where the further south it goes, the further away from the wind shear it stays. The further away from the wind shear it is, the further north it goes, it gets more to that wind shear, but that puts more of Tampa Bay at risk.
Exactly. And that's what I've been trying to emphasize here.
Okay.
I really, truly believe this is going to go south of Tampa Bay. It's going to be a very close direct hit. But they will still feel major impacts from this. Probably if it hits south, probably 12 to 15 foot storm surge coming off of the Gulf.
Yeah. Anyway, we got a $2 donation by Peter Moss. Yours, the intensity models came out. Thank you for the donation. Really appreciate that. But yeah.
I don't want to be this person, but I kind of don't trust the intensity models after they failed.
Yeah, I think they're a little iffy considering what we've been dealing with all day.
And considering that, and I just want to point this out, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, the models are saying there's going to be shear tomorrow. Yeah, with a favorable jet interaction, it being more south and a loop current. Do you really expect that to do anything if this eyeball replacement cycle goes the way it wants to? I don't think so.
Yeah, that definitely.
That's why I'm not too concerned about what the models are saying. This storm has been a nowcaster since birth, in a way.
In many ways, yes.
So I need to know something. How strong is the shear they're forecasting?
Like, I can go ahead and pull that up very quickly.
By approach of landfall or pull?
For tomorrow, what is this shear everybody is talking about?
The models are based. The models are basically saying,
hey guys, Tropical Tidbits put out a message. Due to excessive traffic from Hurricane Milton, GOES 18 and Met 9 products are temporarily disabled. A lot of people are trying to access these products, and it's causing constantly for Tropical Tidbits to crash. It's constantly causing a huge overload for the servers, and it's hindering our ability to cover this. So if you're currently on Tropical Tidbits right now, please, with all due respect, please get off there temporarily so that way we can take a look at this data. Because, for example, with reconnaissance earlier before we streamed, it took like 5 minutes to get an update on that, to load the screen to get an update on that, to check, even after the recon mission came in. What's up?
And Pat, may I add to this?
Yes, please.
May I add to what you're saying?
Yes.
A lot of people will go out there and misinterpret the information that they're looking at. Please, if you don't really know what you're looking at, stay off of it because it's just like Yellowstone. It's just like people looking at seismographs.
Yeah.
You can't trust everything you hear on Twitter. You can't just please, if you don't know how to interpret the data, please.
Yeah. And to answer your question, Tony, this system is going to barrel into shear at least 40 to 50 knots. Just to let you know, based on what I'm looking at.
Window
Okay,
is the question because
now here's the thing. If that's 40, 50 knots of shear, that is going to affect the storm.
Oh, I know, but that's not going to really affect it until it approaches until it approaches Florida. I'd say longitudinally wise, Western Cuba.
Yeah, that's what I was basically saying is that the shear starts off as an actual favorable jet interaction first, along with the loop current. So basically, what the sidewall replacement cycle does kind of depends on fate, and then once we get into Wednesday, then the shear will start sort of tearing it apart, and it will slowly get more teared apart over time.
Yeah,
not necessarily.
All right.
The shear, if it's going to encounter shear tomorrow, it's probably going to come from as it's coming from the Yucatan Peninsula. In other words, along the coast. No, hear me out. The shear is probably going to interact where it's going to get the shear for tomorrow is going to be like where the Strait of the Caribbean meets the Gulf of Mexico, like right in that area. That's where the shear. Yeah, it's going to be probably around 20, 25 knots is usually the normal down through there. So it will start to affect it.
I don't believe so. This storm it's supposed to have an interaction.
All right, did someone want to say something very quickly? Sakura?
Huh?
Did you? Okay, never mind. Sorry, Tristan. My apologies.
I was letting Fire know where that location was. Who was talking about this?
This is interesting right here. We have a massive push from these minus 80 cloud tops to the east. Are you guys seeing this?
Yes,
that is a problem.
Holy
that wind field is going to easily expand. We were watching those subtle movements. That's the first obvious movement we have of the evening. That is incredible. Like, look how far east that is expanding.
Wow.
But like what I was saying, that it's supposed to have an interaction with the trough with the jet first. That will expand its outflow combined with the loop current. So after this idle replacement cycle, if it could get it set together, it could do an RI again. And then starting Tuesday night into Wednesday, the shear will start affecting it slowly, and it slowly goes up as it approaches. The more south it goes, the less shear there is, and the more time it has to strengthen.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought I'd want to share that with you guys because before we were seeing this storm starting to expand, but now with this massive push to the east.
Yeah, that's also going to make the storm more stronger. It's going to make it more
Tristan, that's a
resistant
very
to
violent push to the east right there. I've been tracking hurricanes since 2017. I've never seen this before.
So here's a question here. If there's more of a push to the east of convection, is that where the eye is expanding a little bit more? If that's the case, if it finishes Iowa replacement cycle, could it bounce back faster than expected?
Potentially.
Because if the eye develops a little bit more eastward, that's closer to the loop current, and that also before the trough even comes into play, or at least the shear of the trough is a little bit earlier than expected.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's interesting. We'll see how it goes. But right now, it has amazing outflow and everything. It's just an eyewall replacement cycle that's
for sure
struggle a little bit.
Definitely. But yeah,
Not
Daniel, you're noticing that on
but-
satellite. Sorry, Tristan.
Not struggling, but more of just, it's kind of like a small reset.
Yeah. It can't sustain this size forever, so it needs to regroup and redevelop, pretty much. Well, not redevelop. It's
Yeah,
already
once
developed.
Yeah, big brain.
Yeah.
Big brain
But-
time.
I remember this storm is tiny. Like if you take some of the smallest tropical cyclones that we know of in the Atlantic, like not Marco, but
Yeah.
kind of Marco because of size, Andrew, Camille, Labor Day 35. Those are really small, apart from Marco.
Mm-hmm.
Really small but really powerful cyclones.
Yeah.
And they often, they can't hold that
I just
tiny
got home.
size.
What's up?
They can't hold that tiny size.
Oh.
I just got home from work, so
All right.
let me go
Yeah.
do what I need to do, and I'll be back
Yeah.
on. if you're
Anyway,
still
Daniel, do you
streaming.
see that massive burst to the east? I know you have it pulled up on your satellite imagery as well.
Yes.
Yeah. What is everybody's thoughts on seeing that? Like, first of all, I've never seen anything like that before.
That
I'm
just
not
shows that
surprised.
this storm and the environment is just violent. That's
It's already preparing itself for the shear. It's already I feel like trying to get itself in a environment where it fights off the shield, makes a shield for the shear.
That may be part of it, Weather Kingdom, but I think that's part. But I think the main reason is the storm's greatly about to expand in size. This is a massive burst to the east, and where I'm seeing this isn't just on the eastern side; it's everywhere. I'm also looking at it as well. Like the wind field's pushing out, and it's not just pushing out. It appears it looks like it's pushing out rather. I hope it's not the case, but rather violently. We don't want that. We absolutely don't want that. But this is something that's insane to take a look at. And it'll be interesting to see what it looks like tomorrow morning, because this might be the beginning of us looking at a much bigger hurricane down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, be sure to like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal is to get more people engaged with weather. So, yeah, it's going to be a very wild night that we're dealing with, and it got even wilder with this massive area, this massive -80 cloud top expansion already. So
I'm curious of what Recon's going to say. The latest past.
we'll find out in a couple of minutes, and maybe. Yeah, I'm thinking it's gonna be one more pass before they determine if the wind field is actually expanding or not. But based on satellite, man, that is a violent push outward.
Yeah. And as I said earlier, small storms of this intensity can't hold it for very long.
Yeah, well, this is one of those classic scenarios.
Yep. And then oftentimes those tiny storms will get really big and such.
Yeah.
I don't really know of a scenario that's happened, like where a very small storm has grown in size a lot, but something kind of happened with Cyclone Tracy 74 a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it was really compact, like because Tracy was only 30 miles wide for those who know your cyclone history. Cyclone Tracy was, I know it's a southern hemisphere storm, but trust me, this kind of works anywhere. Tracy was a really tiny storm. Like it was 30 miles across.
Yeah.
As a gale force wind. So that's like absolutely tiny.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, after Tracy made landfall on Christmas Day, by the way, in Australia, it started to get a little bit bigger and its impacts became a little bit more widespread, but it also did weaken.
Yeah. That -80 cloud top ring is pretty much expanding mostly to its east and mostly to its north. Not as much to the south or the west, but it's going to start wrapping around there pretty soon. It's pretty much replaced the old like much more compact ring with what I believe to be a much larger ring of -80 cloud tops.
Yeah,
I hope
think
these cloud tops warm, because this is a very scary thing to look at.
Unfortunately, I don't really think they're gonna be warming a lot, and I really hate to say it, but these cloud tops might not warm for a damn long time. I
Yeah.
apologize, my friends, but these cloud tops are not warming any damn time soon.
Maybe the
Definitely
eye
not.
will, but not the.
The eye w-
The eye
Yeah,
warming would be a bad thing during an eye wall replacement cycle.
Yes,
Yeah.
the cloud tops warming. Yeah, it's kind of a
Would
good
be a
thing
good
because
thing.
those cloud tops are, getting a little
Cloud
bit
top
lower down.
warming is a good thing. The eye warming is a bad thing.
Yeah, because
Still category
the
5.
eye,
Don't worry.
I'm
It's
still
not a
worried
Cat
because
4.
it's a Cat 5.
yeah. Now, the temperature of the eye typically can either kind of explain like the eye temperature in a layman's terms. The warmer the eye is, the more intense of a storm you're gonna have.
Yeah.
I mean, take storms that have had really warm eyes, like Typhoon Judy of 1979 in the West Pacific, about 45 years ago. I had a really warm eye. That had an eye temp of about like 35 degrees Celsius, I think.
95 degrees Fahrenheit.
And yeah,
Wow.
Typhoon Judy of 1979.
That's insane. This one, what did this peak at? Like 28 Celsius?
Yeah, 28.
27.
So that's
All right.
27,
28?
yeah. 27, 28. We'll call it that.
That's
Um,
80. That's like 81 degrees Fahrenheit. That's
Yeah.
still a very warm eye for an Atlantic storm, especially.
Yeah. Yeah, Judy had a eye temp of, Typhoon Judy had a eye temp of 34 degrees Celsius up to 700 millibar high.
Yeah. Okay, the recon's going in right now. Yeah, it looks like they're finding that double eyeball structure that we were talking about earlier. It's still there. It's still present. But the main question is, how is this going to pan out? Because before,
Well, I noticed. Yep, it's still there. Yep, I
yeah,
see
what
it.
I noticed on the last pass of Mission 10 was the inner eye wall at where it passed last, which I believe was the northeastern, or at least the northeastern side of it, was
You noticed
around
it.
what?
Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, around 135 knots, and the outer eye wall is about 90. Now we're seeing that outer eye wall at around 110, and the inner eye wall is to be determined, but it's guaranteed to be stronger. So we're noticing that outer eye wall really starting to build up.
Do you think that the winds have downtrended yet?
I think there's a realistic scenario they're going to go 175 at the 10 p.m. At the 11 p.m. advisory.
I don't know, because from the recon, it still supports 85-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, if
85
anything, they might just
mile-an-hour
keep
winds?
that. I mean, in the first pass of
You
Mission
said
11,
85 mile per hour. Did you mean 185?
I mean, yeah, 185,
Okay.
185.
All right.
My bad.
All right.
But I mean, in the latest, not in the latest pass because we're still seeing it, but in the last pass, I mean, they found 160 knots or 170, anywhere from there.
Yeah. I'm thinking they're
So,
going to
I mean,
go 175 or 165 with this. Based on
I think
what
They're
I'm
gonna
seeing.
go 175.
I'm thinking 175 is the more
Yeah,
realistic
just-
scenario, because they're still
Yeah, I
finding
mean,
those
they're
flight
probably-
level winds around 160.
Yeah, and they're probably gonna say that's a little bit generous, which I
It
get
is.
that. But I think they're gonna go 165, maybe 170. At top.
they wouldn't drop this to like a 165. I think that's too weak of a Cat 5.
I agree for now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
this is going to probably get down to a low-end Cat 5 or high-end Cat 4 as it's completing the ERC.
Yeah.
I think it can hold. near a cat. Probably like a 160, 165,
All right.
maybe even 170.
Well, 170 doesn't exist
Uh,
on the NHC scale because it's a knot
Ye-
scale.
Yeah, yeah, because remember, by the way, there's a couple numbers they don't use. They don't use 55, 95, 170, or 210.
Unfortunately,
Why is that?
And two,
because it doesn't convert to
it's-
an even version of knots.
Oh,
yeah. So if you convert, let's say, 170 miles an hour to knots, you get 150. But if you convert that back, it'd be 175.
when did they switch that?
They switched
Was
it
it
back in
always like that?
2016, I think.
Oh,
Always use it.
Yeah, I remember that because that's when they made some updates. Because before it was pretty much 135 was on the table, 170 was on the table, 95 was on the table, 55 was on the table. Now it's pretty much 130, then 140, then 165 to 175. You get the general gist of it.
Yep. And
So
then,
stupid.
2.5 straight to 215. We haven't had to use 215 in about 8 years at this point.
Yeah. Random American asks how much weakening will happen. Right now, it's in terms of the IOL replacement cycle, I think low in Cat 5, high in Cat 4. In terms of when it makes landfall to Florida, I'm thinking right now round a low to mid-range Category 4 as it approaches there. That's my honest opinion. But anything can change. We just need to watch the evolution of this system tonight. What are your guys' thoughts?
I agree.
Yeah, I do agree.
Yeah.
Also, Pat,
Yeah.
here's an interesting tidbit, by the way, about the thing's eye. You said it was like 22 degrees Celsius at the max?
Around 27, 28 for this for Milton.
To give your perspective, by the way, the eye of Typhoon Tip, yes, that Typhoon Tip that peaked on October 12th, 45 years ago, was 30 degrees Celsius. So basically, this thing almost had an eye temperature matching Typhoon Tip.
And it got to the 800s too.
Yeah, Tip had
870.
I think we all know Tip. Yeah, 870, never been beaten since. I love it, almost has. I know this. Yeah, that is insane about how this Milton here had an eye temp nearly as warm as some of the most intense Pacific typhoons we've ever seen.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. All right, Recon will get our new information in a couple of minutes. We'll finally get to see how strong this inner eye wall is and how much the pressure has risen. I think at 10 o'clock they're going to go 175 for the advisory, mainly because this is obviously weakened due to eye wall replacement cycle and not due to anything else, really. It's still doing relatively well. It's just resetting itself, pretty much. And
do you have a...
What's up,
Sorry,
Sakura?
I was gonna say, take this with a grain of salt, by the way, but I saw 914.7 millibars extrapolated. Not entirely.
Okay.
Not entirely certain if that is true or not, but
That's still weaker than last bout.
That's still slightly weaker, but okay. They
No,
found.
but see what I mean? It's
much
not
weaker, actually.
really going down. It's
All
not
right,
really
that's
going
interesting.
down in a way.
All right, we got our data in. So the inner eye wall is around 120 knot flight level winds, but then the northeast eye wall is around 130 knots, which is interesting. So curious.
Okay, in terms of wind speed, it kind of really did go down.
Yeah, I think it did go down at least
now
for
I
a
can
while.
see that. And the pressure's probably 115 or so.
115.
Pressure.
So basically,
you mean
very
915?
powerful category.
Yeah.
What?
Did you say you said pressure of
Powerful.
115? Okay, they found the Sacker, I know what you're talking about, the extrapolated pressure.
Okay.
They didn't get into the
Yeah,
center. I don't
914.
think they got into the center of it, but they found an extrapolated pressure of 914.7.
Yep.
So you were right.
Can confirm that now.
All right.
So basically, a very powerful Category 4.
No. Not
Am I wrong
yet.
about that?
It's still definitely
what were the
top
knots again?
5.
I'm looking at it. I mean, I can see that scenario, but that's mainly because it's trading. Like what I'm noticing right now is, like I'm noticing it's trading its strength for a massive size, and we're starting to see that evolution right now on satellite. Like that
What were
wind
the
field
knots
is
again? I'm sorry.
is just expanding outward at such a violent rate. It's scaring the hell out of me.
And there's still lightning in the eye wall, so.
What were the knots again? I'm sorry.
Round 130 flight level for the northeast. Southwest, you had 2 eye walls of 100, about 105, 110, and around 120.
Yeah, that would be a Cat 4.
Yeah, it would be, but we need more data, and we need to see if it's another, if the other side, like the northwest and southeast eye walls, are reciprocating that weakness. Because it could just be a one-time thing, and next thing you know, we're back up to 160 knots.
Yeah, because of the eye wall replacement cycle.
Yeah.
So I think they might.
Now here's
They
the
might
question.
drop it to 1. Oh.
What are the flight level winds above that?
Flight level winds?
Yeah.
Oh, the flight level, I already told you the flight levels. Or are you
120
referring
to
to before
130?
it?
I'm trying to understand surface versus flight right now, because on the one hand, the pressure didn't do a lot in a way, but in another way, like it seems like the winds went down.
I think part of that is because the winds are pushing out so violently. Because you know the figure skater, when you expand your arms out and your frame gets larger and you slow down when you're spinning. What this system is doing is it pretty much grabbed some of the pretty much, I don't know, it's very flexible and it has very long arms and it's stretching out very fast. It's one of those scenarios where it's slowing down quite a bit, but ultimately it's expanding much more greatly in size. And you can tell on satellite.
Yeah, you can see that band of -80 cloud cups.
I really think,
Shoving its way with these.
Yeah.
based off of the already pressure weakening and the wind weakening, honestly, I could see them going weakening into 160.
To 160?
160.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah, it's going to be very...
So 160 now, and then at the end of the eyebrow replacement cycle, 155.
Yeah.
And then once it gets back together, it will go back to 160, and it will have to see its future lifetime.
I can see that scenario playing out. Just so the NHC doesn't drop... I think their NHC is probably going to go 165, just so that way they can make sure and they can make adjustments as needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, 165.
I was gonna say 160, maybe 165.
Yeah.
But
Because someone said normally
higher
that
a lot if they need to.
during the eyebrow replacement cycle, winds drop 25 to 30 miles an hour on average.
Yeah.
So based on the average, 180 minus 25 would be 155, and then 150. But because it's only an eyebrow replacement cycle, not other conditions, I wonder it will stay 160 and retain a lot of its strength.
I think it will, but as a much larger hurricane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's already gotten
Remember
bigger.
Yeah, and then and for those of you in the chat, by the way, who are wondering how does an annual replacement cycle affect a hurricane or typhoon or cyclone, whatever, you're basically trading strength for size.
Yep.
It's like you're basically okay. So before the Iowa replacement cycle, this thing still officially is, but kind of 180 mile, 180 mile an hour, 897, right? But it was very small.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna probably be going soon. By the way,
That's fine, Weather Kingdom. But what's your But what are your? But before you go, what's your overall take on this?
overall take. We're just gonna have to see with the morning and how quickly does this eyewall replacement cycle takes is another question. But regardless of any little bit of weakening, I mean, where this could be heading, potentially north of Florida, Tampa Bay, Florida, you know, they're the they are they have never seen something like this, and even a cat 2 will devastate Tampa because I was looking at some images after Helene, and there's a lot of damage in Tampa
Yep.
from the storm surge. So now them forecasting 10 to 15 feet. That's even worse than that 5 to 7 feet storm surge from Helene.
Yes.
And I can really see, no matter what happens, let's say this ends up has a second peak and becomes, once again, this strength, and it somehow interact with the trough and the shear in a good way, and it
That's a
doesn't really
breaking news.
weaken.
What-
Yeah, go ahead. What's the breaking news?
Andy Hazelton, who is also a very trusted resource, says Milton has leveled off and weakened a little after its earlier peak. But here's what's interesting. Remember we talked about mergers versus full eyewall replacement cycles?
Yes.
I'm not sure if I would call this a full eyewall replacement cycle just yet. There's no double wind peak, but more of a eyewall merger.
Oh.
This was actually predicted extremely well by the 12 HASB, which shows re-intensification tomorrow afternoon. And when you look at the Mexican radar, I
Can you
was
send
saying
that?
it didn't look
Yeah, I
like
was about
a
to say, could you
double.
send that so we could take a look at
Because
it?
I would love to,
It's not fully one yet, but you see the way that the storm is kind of maintaining itself, but it's also weakening a little bit
Yeah.
so far.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a merger. It doesn't feel like we'll wait and see, but it feels like an even worse case situation where it's a merger and not a full one.
Yeah.
I'm wading into it. Lily,
We'll
in
see
some
though.
sense.
I want to see, but look at the look. You know why I say that too?
Yeah, I see
The
what you're
new
talking
convection
about.
is going off on Tango's screen, but I noticed something. The eye is not fully dead.
Most certainly isn't.
It isn't on the infrared. Tango, do you see what I mean? It sort of closes back and then comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he
I'm
does.
concerned that's a merger and not the full thing. Tango, you there, by the way?
He's there.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I think he's
Yeah,
there. He's there.
Yeah. That
Brendan, look on
that
the
would be
infrared with
interesting
Tango.
though.
Do you notice
Then
what I'm noticing?
okay, if it was just a merger, not of the full thing, then how does that explain this massive push in convection right here?
I
Because
think eyewall mergers can do that.
then we got a
I
serious
want
problem.
Brendan's opinion because Brendan and Pat are smarter than me. But
Right.
it feels, especially from Andy, it feels more like a eyewall merger. As you also notice on the old recon radars,
Yeah.
it didn't seem like the outer eyewall was very weak at all, not getting choked off, and it wasn't a full
I would
outer eyewall was seen.
Go ahead, Brendan.
I would say I would actually, Pat, I'm going to agree with you on this. And it's not to take away from what you're saying, Tristan, because I think it's a good thought. But to Pat's point, it doesn't explain why the wind field in the eastern quadrant is bulging out like that. The only thing that could truly explain that would be some sort of a collapse of the initial eye wall and essentially the replacement cycle commencing. A merger wouldn't, I would think a merger would actually cause that bulging to be in all directions as opposed to just one singular one.
That would be a full open ERC. This is just in one side.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying. And the only way you have that is if it's a true replacement cycle like this. I don't see how this could be a merger. That's my main point here. I'm
But then
agreeing
the
with you on
eye
that.
doesn't really die.
Yeah,
Yeah. See, I don't.
I'll have to check the
That's
radar.
confusing.
Yeah, it's a little confusing for sure.
It is.
Yeah, if it.
I want.
Yeah,
Did Recon do a new Doppler radar? Let me see.
let's check recon. Let me check recon.
That bulging is very odd. I
It
agree.
it's odd, but at the same time, if it were a full
interesting.
ERC, it would be going out in all directions. This is going out just predominantly on one side.
Hey,
Right.
I have a theory.
What's
I
up?
have a theory.
All right.
Fancy, that area had an area of low pressure at the mid levels
What?
earlier today.
All right.
I'm wondering if it's merging. I'm wondering if it's merging
I
with that
don't
low
think so,
pressure
Tony. I'm just going to tell you right now.
Yeah,
doubt
I
it.
don't think so. No.
because it's only
Don't-
affecting the one side.
Well, it wouldn't be because of a low. The low is not going to do that.
Yeah,
Even if
because
there was
it's
a low
not
there,
like
it's not going to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
because this is a very, very well stacked storm. Like I could see that maybe in a different scenario, but
Yeah.
it's stacked.
But regardless of that, Brendan, go ahead and continue.
No, I was just Pat. Ultimately, I hope you know I was really agreeing with what you were saying.
Yeah.
Your explanation. At the same time, Tristan, I do agree in that. I just need to look at this a little bit more.
That's
It's very kind of odd. I
I'm
don't have a
looking
true
at Doric
explanation.
right now.
I'm pointing
actually.
towards the only thing being a merger, or excuse me, eye wall replacement. But still, the one-sided convective bulging that's happening. That's my
Here's
only
the thing,
explanation for it.
though.
But I
Alright.
could
When
be
you look
proven
at
wrong.
Hold on,
Doric-
Tristan. Let Brendan finish.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all I had to say.
Oh, then go right
When
ahead.
when I'm looking at Doric right now, the eye hasn't fully died and it's only one side. And the cloud tops are actually going around the eye. In fact, that Pat, let me send you this. I need
Tristan-
to tell you what I mean by this because
Send it in live no mic
it's
so
a
I can take a look
weird.
at it.
It doesn't feel like an eye wall replacement cycle, but at the same time, it does. Like, look at the Doric. You'll see what I mean. The eye doesn't die.
No, I'm looking at Pat's screen right now as we speak, and I mean it clearly it's not as distinct as a typical replacement cycle.
Yeah.
I mean
Is
the
it
eye
because it's
clearly
just
Hold
still
on.
looks like it's
bad?
One at a time.
the eye clearly still looks like it's intact.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Based on what I'm looking at with your screen, Pat, on IR, so that's why I'm just kind of
Mine.
perplexed right now on what the hell's going on with
That's
this thing.
Daniel's stream, by the way, that you're
A
looking at.
smaller eye would technically really trying to fill more space and would see a lot more.
Hmm.
It's weird.
One thing I will say is this could be a merger, in my opinion, based on what I'm looking at. Predominantly because that, like, if this was a full-blown ERC, this huge burst of convection will be going out in all directions. This is only bulging out to the east, and based on reconnaissance, the double eye wall feature isn't quite over there. When they passed it last, it was on the southwestern side.
Yeah,
Okay, that's interesting.
This storm is just
it was
weird.
on. It is weird.
This has been defying climatology all day.
Yeah,
It
I'm
has it.
seeing. Let me see rainbow. I want to see.
Yes,
something.
you are right. It's been on the southwestern side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And,
seeing the same thing.
and-
The cloud tops didn't really collapse. It's only one side really bulging, and then the rest of it. Wait a second. I got a
I'm just
theory.
confused.
Is it the convection that's the Cancun radar?
Mm-hmm.
There's also some bands. Is it trying to connect with those bands and make the eye more eastward?
I'm sorry?
Look at the banding and look where the eastern push is.
Yeah, I see it.
You see those little bands, and it looks like they're going a little bit more west to connect. I wonder if they're trying to connect those two and make a larger eye more to the east.
I don't know.
The eye doesn't fully die. But it's also confusing. You know, I might be wrong here. I'm not perfect. That's why I'm asking these questions. But
No, it's a good question. I'm pretty agnostic to it, to be quite honest with you.
I'm gonna see water vapor too. Yeah, the right side really suddenly explodes, and it's actually wrapping around into the north a little bit. But then the rest of the eye is basically not the eye. The rest of the structure is just having a fun day.
Yeah.
What's going on? I want more data. Are they going back in?
They should.
Okay,
I want them to investigate
I know
the
why.
eastern side.
Guys, I think I know why.
All right.
I think I know why.
Go ahead.
So basically, but weaker in intensity.
You were cutting
That's why
out
we're
for a
seeing
second,
bulb.
Fire Ant, by the way.
Yeah, you were cutting out.
Oh, sorry.
Go
So
ahead.
basically, what's happening is you're getting a larger eye wall
Yeah.
with a lower intensity.
Okay.
That's why you're seeing the bulge while it's replacing the original eye wall.
Okay.
But it's still, to Pat's point, it doesn't explain why it's just bulging in one direction.
Because
it's all over the place.
It's forming. It's still forming. Eventually, what's going to happen? It is going to wrap all the way around, and that's going to be your new eye wall. Because it's just so low intensity, it's only going to bulge on one side for right now.
Okay.
So what you're looking at is the birth of a new eye wall and a new eye location.
That would help. That would make sense.
But at the same time, have we seen that before? But previous tropic cycles.
Because the new eye wall is going to be larger in radius than the current eye wall.
That's
true. Collapsing.
That's true.
I wish Kaiser.
And we're starting to see that expansion now go into from the east side of the storm to the northeast side of the storm as well in the past couple of frames.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you are right. He could be right. That will explain it. I can actually see that happen.
That would explain it, but the thing is, we would need to watch this for several more hours to see if that is true.
Come to fruition, yeah.
Yeah, we have to see if that comes to fruition or not.
What's going to happen if this is the case? It's going to temporarily weaken, which I'm sure we're seeing.
We already are seeing that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it's doing. It's forming a new eye wall.
Okay.
That's going to be stronger in intensity.
You know, Tristan literally was talking about that too. That this could have another peak tomorrow.
I can see it.
I can see this getting back into 180, 185. I can see it.
Is John in? I have a question. Is he in the stream right now? No, he's not. I was going to see if he could give us a microwave imagery that's up.
I actually have a microwave imagery. I can give you one.
Go ahead and
see if it's updated first.
I'm not really good at telling time, so I'll just send it into VC no mic. But it will explain the structure this is in now. It's a much bigger structure.
All right, well.
Thank you, Dr. Bob Sheets. Hey guys, just take a look.
What do you got?
Live stream stage.
All right. Is it in the chat?
Yeah, I just posted it there.
Okay.
This is going to explain it to you.
All right.
Let's see, the new eye wall is larger in radius, but weaker in the intensity than the original eye wall. That makes sense. This causes
we got a new microwave.
Tristan.
Nice. Let's see. This causes the sun to temporarily weaken, but the new eye wall can contract and strengthen the storm. The sun can become even more powerful than what it was before the cycle began.
Oh.
Okay.
Where
So
where can I find that?
in look in the stage chat.
Yeah,
Or,
I saw your Weather
Fire
Kingdom. I
Ant
saw your
2
microwave imagery. By the way,
All
that
right.
would actually your
You
microwave
you see
imagery.
what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
much bigger.
Yeah, that would
I
actually
mean,
explain why there's a
And
massive
guess
surge
what?
to the east. That
It
microwave
also
imagery
forms left of
explains
the
it.
vertical wind shear.
What's up?
That's why you're seeing it bulging out the way it is.
Why the hell am I muted?
There.
All right. Why the hell was I muted?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know why the
Okay.
hell you were doing.
Oh,
Okay, so I was talking to Kaiser, and yeah, it is a complete eyeball replacement cycle. It is. You can tell because look at the way that pink is suddenly just wrapping around like it's trying to be an outer eyewall.
all right.
what do
So
you
yes,
mean?
that is a normal eyewall replacement cycle. But the structure is stabilizing, which means that it's doing it has begun complete. I think it's near complete. A full eyewall replacement cycle really quickly. Will be done in a few hours. So likely, if I were to guess, this 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning. Not
Yeah.
only that, but the storm is steady at 9:15,
Yeah.
which is telling me that I don't think this is gonna get below 5, and if it does, it's only gonna do 1.5. It looks like, because then those pressures.
I'm
come back up
thinking
quickly.
it's gonna get low on 5 or high at 4. That's my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I basically Kaiser. So basically, Kaiser and I were talking, and the microwave imagery, and yeah, in a way, the eyewall replacement cycle is still continuing, but now it's on the stabilizing stage,
Yeah.
where the inner eyewall is going away.
Yeah.
Which
Basically.
means the storm strength is going to tank a little bit,
Yeah.
but not a lot in a way.
Yeah. That would also explain that massive surge to the east. Thanks for sending us Weather Kingdom, by the way. This would also
Yeah, no
explain it
problem.
because, yeah, Tony, you were right about that. He's right, Tony. Based on what I
Right
just
on the
saw with
money,
imagery,
Tony.
you're
Good
right.
job.
Yeah,
Like I said, I got my other half listening to TV in the background, so I'm kind of muting.
That's
all
fine.
right.
You got your other.
Pat, look at DMs.
Yeah, I saw. Go ahead and
Okay.
get started.
Yeah.
By the way, Pat, and by the way, for those of you who are watching, just scroll this out the window, apparently, because ADT
Yeah,
had a raw Dvorak number of T8.
it did.
Keyword raw. That's not adjusted. Adjusted with 7.8. But still.
Oh,
Ready.
that if that's true,
But
that is then
just throw that out the window because we have recon.
okay.
And Kaiser
Recon,
is just
Throw
saying,
that out the window.
Kaiser also said, this system is bad when at 10:30 at night, I-75 and I-4 are packed.
Yep.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
There's traffic jams.
On 75
Oh,
in
yes,
Florida.
yeah, expected.
Florida.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I-75 and I-4 is going to be backed up
Yep.
because
And they're losing
that is
gas.
that is what they teach you or tell you during March and April to prepare for hurricanes is know the evacuation route, and the evacuation route is to send you to Orlando.
Yep.
I don't think they're going to be that safe in Orlando. The Winfield.
But
Yeah.
I might be
either
going
way,
for the night,
look,
Pat.
no matter where they go in Florida, unless if you're going all the way up to Pensacola or Tallahassee or anywhere up there, Live Oak,
Yeah.
you're going to feel this.
Yeah.
You're going to feel this.
For sure. All right, Weather Kingdom. What
That's
were
why
you
going
saying?
to Orlando makes no sense.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably head out.
That's fine. All right. Thank you for coming on, Weather Kingdom. You've been very helpful again tonight. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah, no
Weather
problem.
Kingdom's about to get off, but please go ahead and check out his channel, Weather Kingdom right here. be sure to check him out. Go subscribe to him. I'm sure he'd really appreciate that if you did that. He's been very phenomenal tonight. Everyone's been phenomenal tonight here at Storms United.
Yeah.
Tristan's been great. Tony's been great. Brendan's been great. Sakura's been excellent. Everyone who's came on tonight's been absolutely incredible. Daniel's been very good as well. And we are going to have our after show hosted on his stream in a little bit. So look forward to that. So, yeah. Anyway, though, so now it's 9:30 or 10:30 Eastern. What do we all think? What do we all think that the NHC is going to go for with their advisory?
165.
I'm gonna go with.
You can go ahead.
Go ahead, Weather
Speak
Kingdom.
first.
I have a gut feeling.
Oh.
Anywhere from 165 to 1. You said they don't do 170. That's the issue.
So
Yeah.
175.
165 to 1 or 175.
All right.
All right.
Probably 165.
Okay.
All right. Well, Mexico radar is okay. This radar is actually very good. The latest frame from the Mexico radar is showing the southern inner eye wall completely opening up.
Yep.
Here we go. And the recon radar from 25 minutes ago showed the same thing. They are in link.
Yep.
So now eye wall replacement cycle truly begins now.
Yeah.
The
Oh, I
next few
see.
hours will decide Florida's fate.
Yep.
Let's see it.
For sure. But yeah.
I know you, man. I see it.
I guess for Milton at the, what is it, 11 o'clock? 10
Yeah.
p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern. I'm gonna start anywhere between 155 and 175. But my range is gonna be 160 to 175.
All right. Brendan,
One thing I will bring out is there's still lightning in the core.
it's been
That's what's
A lot.
concerning me
And
too. It concerns me that the moment it completely does this eye wall replacement cycle, the lightning is so tremendous, and this storm has a huge history. It still has a interaction with the jet and loop current for tomorrow. Everything's just telling me that after this eye wall replacement cycle, it might just repeat again.
I
Everything
can
is
see
telling
that.
me.
yeah.
And we know a bigger storm is lower pressure.
Yep.
So if
Yeah.
if this storm was larger when it did the 897, it would have likely been much lower, which tells me, first of all, I'm gonna say this: I think the pressure was actually 980, 895 in the center of the eye because they kept missing 9.
Yeah.
Second of all, I think that the pressure will be even lower once the storm gets larger, depending on the evolution and what it does. Honestly, this may not be the peak of Milton. We might get one more, and the next one will have even more support. This did good RI in more shallow water. Imagine a loop current and a jet interaction helping outflow and all that.
Yep.
Its only weakness is the eye wall replacement cycle.
I wouldn't even
Oh,
consider that a
John.
weakness, though. It's just trying to reset itself in this case.
It's weakening a little bit and resetting itself, but then it might come back hard.
Yeah.
I do expect this to weaken during the eye wall replacement cycle. If it stays a 5, that's a sign that this storm is really tough. I don't like when storm do eye wall replacement cycles. You expect them to be like, okay, you're going to
Yeah.
weaken to this. This storm has a history of being so resilient. And the only thing that's making it weaken is an eye wall replacement cycle. But you got the convection.
Yep.
That is still supporting the storm very well.
Oh yeah.
You have warm waters. You're going to have a loop current.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a jet interaction all day tomorrow. And almost no shear, at least for the first half of the day. So if
Yeah.
it completes this eye wall replacement cycle and it was able to do 897 with a small size and shallow water,
Yeah.
what could it do on the loop current?
Yeah. That's a little
I'm
concerning.
not saying it's going to be stronger than what it is. I'm saying that this storm has a history of putting the middle finger up, and I don't want anyone to
We
lose
need-
their guard because it's having one eye wall replacement.
Definitely, that's for sure, and we'll keep an eye on that. But anyway, Brendan, Tony, what are your thoughts on what happens at 11 o'clock? What do you think they're going to go for? NHC.
I'll go first, and then Tony can conclude off on that.
All right.
I'm going to stick to 165. I think I don't see it going any higher than that on the NHC advisory. I could be left mistaken, but I'm going to stay 165.
All right, Tony.
I'm sorry.
He
What
might
was the question?
be.
I was looking
Go
up
ahead,
something.
Tony.
All right,
I was looking up something.
that's fine. NHC advisory at 11 p.m. How strong will Milton be?
I'm going to say about 168.
168.
Oh, wow.
All right. That's pretty specific. All right.
Yeah, 168.
Okay.
I shouldn't be laughing tonight, but because of how serious this is. But come on.
That was some good comic relief, Tony. Thank
Doesn't
you.
exist.
Yeah.
Does not
It would
exist.
have been even better
Well,
if it was
hey,
169.
you know what, Pat? Since Tony said 168, I'll say 168.25.
All right, I'm done. I'm done with that.
Okay, and with that, I will also say my prediction is 169.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
right.
you guys are
Also,
smart.
we got a new
Okay,
graphic.
This just turned into you guys
got a
one
new
up at
graphic,
each other.
guys.
I'm gonna go ahead and pull up some more satellite imagery. Take a look at this.
We got a
it's
new
good
graphic.
idea. Good idea. There you go. Okay. Yeah.
Pat, we got a new graphic.
What's up?
Look at No Mike. It is the flood hazard outlook we used during Helene. They did a beautiful job during Helene.
Oh yeah,
Here we
got
go.
our flood.
We got a new graphic.
We have
Yeah,
major
actually, let me
flood
see if they got a
expected
brand
for.
new graphic.
Yep.
This one is 14 hours old. Let me see if they posted a new one soon. Let's see. Did they do a new one? This one 5 hours.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, let's do it a 5-hour one.
All right.
Yeehaw.
Oh my
Christ.
goodness, I swear to God.
Here you go, Pat.
Did
Send
you
it
get
to you.
an updated one?
Yes, I got the one for 5 hours ago, not 14. Hippie-ki-yay.
All right.
My gosh.
What have I got myself into?
I don't
All right.
know.
Okay.
Hell.
Wait.
I
What?
don't know.
Yeah. Oh, this is the new one. All right. Yeah, this is the new one. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's not looking very optimal. Did they have a catastrophic tag with Helene? Do you remember?
They
What do you
did.
mean?
They did.
Good, yeah.
Okay,
I had
so
an area
that's
where most
okay.
of the
So they put
devastation occurred.
the threat is considerable this time, from Jacksonville all the way down to Port Charlotte. So, still not great, but stay the hell away from the Carolinas. That's all we ask.
Also,
my.
And stay
I would
away
like to
from
thank
Tampa
the,
Bay as well, if you could.
I would like to thank the near 400 people watching. Y'all could be doing something else. But you decided to come on stream, support us, or you're in the path and you need the latest
Yep.
information. We got you here at Pat's Pat Predictor channel. Make sure to subscribe, and we thank you y'all for spending your night here.
Hold on. Oh, that's Leslie.
What's up, Sakura?
Well, Leslie's 23rd advisor just came out. I know this isn't about Leslie, but her
75.
23rd, Leslie's 23rd.
Oh, the advisory on Milton came out.
Oh, it came out.
Brendan.
They went 165. 165.
165.
Pressure of
Hey,
914.
that's pretty close to my 168.25.
And close to Tony's 168. But I will say,
It's kind of like we're playing. It reminds me of Pat. It's like The Price is Right, where somebody says $1 and then the other person guesses like $1.99.
yeah.
Or like
But the
99.
other dude went over. Anyway, all right.
Hey guys,
What?
All jokes aside,
I should note, by the way, this storm is still small.
Still 30 and 80.
Still my
Yeah.
way.
It's a baby.
It's still tiny.
Very strong one at that. But regardless.
This is one from Milton or Leslie. Oh, Leslie. No one cares about
Milton.
Damn. Well, the one from Milton, that's interesting. I'm curious to see what the new cone's going to look like, too. Mainly because I'm curious to see what that track shifts. I'm hoping it shifts away from Tampa Bay because they do not need this. But at the same time, that's going to put other people at risk. So, yeah. But regardless, though, Milton is a potentially catastrophic Category 5 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson wind hurricane scale. While fluctuations in intensity are expected, Milton is forecast to remain an extremely dangerous hurricane through landfall in Florida. That's interesting. That's not optimal. Oh, they got the discussion now. All right. You know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm going to go ahead and read this if that's okay. You guys okay with that?
Do you want me to
Right.
read it, Pat?
What?
Do you want me to read it, actually? 'Cause
Sure. I'll
I haven't-
follow along.
All right. So the discussion reads: both Air Force and NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft have been investigating Milton. Earlier, the hurricane hunters have found that the minimum central pressure in the eye had dropped to an estimated 897. That was the last one, by the way. Based on this, Milton had the fifth lowest central pressure in the Atlantic Basin and in the Atlantic Basin hurricane record. Yes, that's true.
Yep.
Subsequent sensor penetrations by the aircraft indicated much higher sensor pressures. So,
All right.
flight level and drop zone data from the aircraft suggests a sudden decrease in intensity, and the advisory intensity is set to 145 knots, 165 miles an hour. The decrease is likely the result of an IO replacement reported by the hurricane hunters, leading to a double wind maximum radially from the center. Notwithstanding, Milton still remains an extremely dangerous Category 5 hurricane.
Well,
Read the next word.
And
Can I read the
go ahead, Tristan.
who's
yeah,
the initial
Tristan.
motion is eastward, or 90 divided by 8 knots. Milton should continue to pass close to the northern coast of the Yucatan Peninsula tonight and early Tuesday. Then a flow on the eastern side of a mid-tropospheric shortwave trough dropping into the northwestern Gulf of Mexico should cause Milton to move northeastward to northeastward at a faster forward speed later on Tuesday and Wednesday. This motion should take the system across the Florida Peninsula on Thursday. Later in the forecast period, Milton is expected to move northeastward over the Atlantic waters off the southeast United States while gradually losing tropical characteristics. The official forecast track is close to, but a little faster than the model because it's interesting. This is also very similar to the previous NEC forecast. As noted earlier, the track is closer to the model predictive fields rather than the model trackers, which appear to be too far south. As long as Milton remains in an environment of light shear and over a very high oceanic heat content, the maximum intensity should be governed by more inner core fluctuations. So after the eye replacement cycle, we'll have to see. However, the ship's diagnostics indicate a significant increase in vertical wind shear within 24 hours. I kind of disagree with this. It will be a little longer, but likely associated with increasing southwestern upper level flowers in the Gulf of Mexico. Therefore, an increase in intensity is predicted before Milton reaches the western coast of the Florida Peninsula. Regardless of peak intensity, the eye wall replacement cycle will likely lead to an expansion of the destructive inner core of the hurricane during the next day or two. The system is expected to be a large and powerful hurricane at landfall in Florida, with life-threatening hazards at the coastline and well inland. Residents of Florida should closely follow the orders from their local emergency management officials, as Milton has the potential to be one of the most destructive hurricanes on record
Wow.
for the west central Florida. Key messages:
Oh my.
damaging force winds
That's
and a life-threatening storm
Yeah,
surge
that's a
destructive
problem.
waves is expected across portions of the northern coast of the Yucatan Peninsula from tonight. Milton is expected to grow in size and remain an extremely dangerous hurricane when it approaches the west coast of Florida on Wednesday. A large area of destructive storm surge will occur along parts of the west coast of Florida on Wednesday. This is an extremely life-threatening situation, and residents in those areas should follow advice given to the local officials and evacuate immediately
All
if
right.
told to do so.
All right. I'm going to hold right there because this is a very important point I want to emphasize very quickly because we're already seeing that tonight. And as Tony was talking about, and same with Brendan and everyone else, we're already seeing that massive expansion and that massive bulging to the eastern side. And we're also starting to see a bit of a northward expansion of it as well. It's not as obvious as the eastern expansion, but it's definitely noticeable enough for me to take a look at it. And I do not like the look of that. And that's something we're going to have to pay attention to. All right. Sakura, would you like to read points 3 and 4 since Tristan read the rest of it?
Sure, yeah. All right, potentially devastating hurricane force winds are expected along portions of the west coast of Florida where a hurricane warning is in effect. Milton is forecast to remain a hurricane as it crosses the Florida Peninsula, and life-threatening hurricane force winds, especially in gusts, are expected to spread across the inland across a portion of the entire Florida Peninsula. Keep that in mind, the entire Florida Peninsula. Preparations to protect life and property in the warning areas should be complete by Tuesday night, and since tropical storm conditions are expected to begin within this area early Wednesday.
Mm.
Areas of heavy rainfall.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Areas of heavy rainfall will continue to impact portions of Florida well ahead of Milton, with heavy rainfall more directly related to the system expected Tuesday night through to early Thursday. Okay. This rainfall brings the risk of considerable flash urban and aerial flooding as well as moderate to major river flooding.
Yep.
Flooding will be exacerbated in areas where coastal and inland flooding combine to increase the overall flood.
Ooh.
Now, here's the interesting part about this forecast. They keep it at 165 and 160 for 24 hours.
Yep.
The part where I disagreed with them respectfully, and that's due to some of the model guidance, is with the jet interaction saying that the shear will increase dramatically over 24 hours. I'm seeing that more of 36 hours because this had gone a little bit more south, and the interaction is supposed to increase its outflow at first. So after this eyewall replacement cycle, Pat, we're going to have to really see, respectfully, what the system does. Does it get stronger? Can it fight against shear more? You know, we got to ask these questions. But I think that's why I'm saying the eyewall replacement cycle and the position of the trough will somewhat decide Florida's fate. However, the storm's going to be massive enough where the surge is still going to be a very huge problem with the jet behind damaging winds maybe a little bit more reckless than normal. So honestly, this strength forecast I think this is more conservative considering the wording of where is it, so long as Milton remains in the environment, the maximum intensity is governed more by the inner core.
Yep.
So yes, that's eyewall replacement cycle or multiple, but I do think the system will have a surprise peak again, maybe.
Yeah.
Tristan, real quick, by the way, and you said 90 divided by 8 degrees, 90 divided by 8 knots.
Yeah, it's
that 90 is 90 degrees.
That's straight east. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I can't.
Yeah, I think we knew that. I was about to say. I was just gonna say. Yeah.
Ouch. That hurts.
What's up?
Anyway,
Just kidding.
Brendan, what's going on?
by the way,
No, nothing.
All right, go ahead, Sam.
I didn't know if you were responding to me or not. I said I can't do math, and you're like, we all knew that.
real quick, by the way, guys, I posted the new tone. And
We got new data. We got new data.
Interesting.
So the pressure is 950 millibars by the recon. The estimated surface wind is 123 knots. The maximum flight level wind is 128 knots. The eyewall is still closed. The outer eye is 24 nautical miles. The inner eye is 6 nautical miles. But here's the interesting thing. The temperature inside the eye is still 20 Celsius.
Ooh.
It's still?
Yes, still.
Unbelievable.
Does that see what I mean by it feels like it's not really doing anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens tomorrow morning, but if it's staying 20 degrees with the eye not being fully open and it's still having lightning, you still have this warm water and maybe a favorable interaction at the beginning of Tuesday, what is this storm going to do? If it's doing an eyewall replacement cycle, it's doing this well at somewhat sustaining.
Yep.
I'm scared to see what happens when it hits the loop current.
Yep.
I really am.
Same
So
here.
let me just pose a question to the room. I'm actually curious about this. So
Sure.
I don't have an opinion on it, but I think Tristan, correct me if I'm wrong, but you and others have been talking about the idea that as we go through this replacement cycle at some point, that we will see a second peak of intensification. So I was wondering what everybody's thoughts on that is. Pat, I don't know if you had an opinion on that or not.
It's definitely possible, but it's not going to be as strong as this. I'm thinking 175 max for a secondary peak. And that's all dependent on how this evolves. If we're seeing a scenario where it's a high-end Cat 4, definitely plausible. If it's a low-end Cat 5, definitely plausible. But if it's but if it's like any weaker than that, maybe low-end Cat 5 is the peak, 160, 165 as a secondary peak. But just we need to watch how this evolves tonight. But so far, it's doing a good job of keeping itself intact for the most part, while allowing the outer eyewall to take full advantage of all these conditions. That's my opinion.
It just strikes me that almost everything besides the eyewall replacement cycle is technically still fine. That's what's scaring me about Milton, is that you would think the eye temperature would drop.
Yeah.
Has eyewall replacement cycles really dropped the eye's temperature?
It's interesting. I'd say it has it does temporarily, so it can reset itself, and then it starts to pop back out, and boom, it's back to a respectable temperature. The only issue is it's over a bunch of cloud cover, so yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Even earlier said it might be it looks like a merger on the Mexican radar, but then the recon is saying an eyewall replacement cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's confusing.
By the way, ever go over watches and warnings?
Okay, here we.
I don't think.
Oh no.
We'll
be here for the next 5 hours if we try to do that.
Oh boy.
Oh dear.
I have the summary pulled up right here, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I can read it.
Yeah. Regardless, though, what a wild situation.
Yeah.
Milton, honestly, Milton is just wow. The storm's been a ride.
Today has been very interesting, that's for sure. But anyway, go ahead, Sakura.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, from seeing one of, if not the smallest 180-mile-an-hour storm we've ever seen, or at least in modern times.
Yeah.
What are the chances you see a storm that is 180 miles an hour but as small as this? What do you think the chances are? Very slim.
Yeah.
Because, I've been comparing this to, very small yet very powerful storms like Camille, Labor Day 35, Tracy, 74.
Yep.
Another storm that I often compare this to is Cyclone Gabe, 1989. Yes, that's an actual storm. That storm was tiny, like this, but it was 160 miles an hour. And it struck India. Say, hi, by the way. So...
You don't, by the way, guys, you don't want to even know what I've been saying in other Discord servers about that, the bulging out. They keep saying, Storm's pregnant.
Oh. Okay, no.
You dumb.
Yeah, I was going to say
like,
no.
Why?
What?
Just like, why? Why?
This is not the appropriate time to do that. Wait till the after show.
I'm over here like, huh?
Yeah.
Let's wait till the after show for that, shall we?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
real quickly, if I can.
Sure.
So you guys know, Pat knows Victor Gensini, Dr. Gensini. Many of you guys know him. He's a well-respected meteorologist in our field. He's the NIU professor, my former professor. I wanted just to read this, and I think this kind of puts a bow on tonight's discussion. This was about a few hours ago. He said this. He said, Florida friends, especially those in the Tampa area, this is your final call. Category 5 Hurricane Milton is not like anything you have ever experienced in your lifetimes. The intensification in current strength plus trajectory truly makes it a once-in-a-generation event.
Yep.
Do not focus on the category as it approaches land. This may be the final straw for insurance carriers with hefty exposure in Florida. We are all about to witness a historic, life-changing event on the heels of Helene, no less. This storm is already in the record books for its unprecedented, rapid intensification. It will certainly be retired from the name list. My thoughts are with everyone in the path.
Yeah.
And I think that does it all.
Yeah.
So
That
I gotta
easily
say,
says it all.
everything that he's saying is true.
yeah,
It just
Everything that he said
really,
is true.
Yeah,
it's really interesting how the environment is going to make the firewall replacement cycle really. It will feel like a merger because it will be really fast, but it's not a merger.
yeah. Definitely for sure. But yeah.
But
All
here's
right.
but here's the thing that is very interesting. The National Hurricane Center never said this could not happen again tomorrow. They just said they don't know how the inner core is going to be, which I think is a very good case to read because they're telling you like, hey, the intensity forecast is kind of a little iffy, right?
Yep.
Because of this eyewall replacement cycle and the future of the storm. Not only that, but they see the shear will increase in 24 hours, but that feels too early because then the storm will be a lot weaker at landfall. So,
yeah.
Is the intensity forecast really set in stone? No.
Absolutely not.
I don't think so. I think this is going to be. Remember, Pat, we already said, I think evolution of the inner core and tomorrow, before that shear comes in, will decide whether or not Florida gets a Category 4 or a free and landfall. We're just talking about wind damage, though.
Yep.
Even if we had a Category 2, like Daniel said, the surge is going to be absolutely devastating and a problem.
Yeah.
You need to be, if your local officials have told you to evacuate, please get out if you can. And if you can't get to the evacuation point, look at shelters around your area. Make sure to get money. Make sure to get insurance. Make sure to get documents.
Yep.
Cans of food and water that can last 3 days to a week.
Yeah.
Fill up all the bottles as you can because you might lose power. Put them in the freezer.
Yep.
You know, there's a lot of things that need to be taken care of. If you use a generator, for fuck's sake, don't put it in your house.
You just used our one curse word, but hey.
Yes. Yeah. Pat,
It was beautiful,
Pat's,
though. The way I did it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Pat, I know you're trying to wrap up the stream, I believe. So let me just kind of say one last thing here.
Sure.
Another message I want to get across to folks. If you know anybody in Tampa Bay, especially those who are the most vulnerable, the poor, older individuals, if you have grandparents that live in Tampa Bay, right? Check on them, right? Yeah, family members, give them a call. You know, it's funny because Pat, we always off stream talk about the Midwest porch pirate effect. Whenever we have a tornado outbreak here in the Midwest, you know, there's the running joke that us Midwesterners will go on the front porch instead of going into the basement, you know, because we want to go out and see the tornadoes.
Yeah.
And it's a bad habit, but it does happen in the Midwest. But,
it definitely does.
You know, the same, and you know, with sirens blaring and everything, we don't always take it seriously. But one of the best quotes that I ever heard from a former FEMA director, or not FEMA, excuse me, I think it was FEMA, about not Brownie, but it would have been under the Obama administration.
Sure.
He made a quote saying that after extensive research, they found that the number one way to get through to people is if somebody gets a call from their grandmother.
Yep.
It sounds crazy, but what it truly boils down to is people won't even listen to us many people won't even heed the advice of others on the news.
Yeah.
But the minute their significant other calls, their mother, their kids, that's when they take action. So if you are one of those folks that has a significant other or family members or cousins that live in this area and they're not heeding advice, give them a phone call, talk to them, right? Tell them what's going on. And the more we do that, the more the word gets out, the better, right? Because at the end of the day, if there is less lives lost as possible, that's all that matters at the end of the day. That's why we do these live streams, to get the word out. And listen, as I said, it may not transcend from Pat's Path Predictor, even with everything he said tonight. If you're somebody that knows people there, or if you yourself lives there, you may not think much of it. You may be just like the Midwest Porch Pirates that we sometimes can be out here in Illinois in terms of hurricanes, but this isn't that time.
No, it's absolutely not.
Make sure to
Neither
get the word
was
out to your family
Helene,
members.
to be honest.
Exactly. And our prayers are with those folks too. So get the word out to your family members. That's the best way to communicate warnings.
It definitely is. All right.
And one more thing. We said this during Helene. If nothing happens to you, if nothing happens to your power, if your house doesn't get flooded, instead of saying, you were wrong about the system, say, thank God, I can live another day.
Yep. Exactly.
A lot of and we all remember all that shit with Helene. And I apologize for my language and I speak my French. But we all remember that with Helene.
Yep.
Don't take this storm that way.
Oh yeah.
Like we did with Helene.
Definitely.
Don't say, oh, this storm was thing.
Yeah. But yeah. Thank you.
Take it as like, take this storm as I lived, I'm here, my house is fine, my stuff is fine, we're good here.
Yeah.
Now, how's everybody else?
Also, hey, Pat, I'm sorry. I know we keep dragging out this conclusion. One last thing. Poor Pat, he's just trying to go. But I know. This is the longest Midwest goodbye.
I've had longer.
That's true. That's fair. But the other thing is too, Pat, I think if you are live streaming tomorrow, you are correct.
No, I'm not. I have too much stuff to do.
Got it. Okay.
But, yeah.
So
whoever
think
wants
what we
to stream
do,
can,
though,
but
and one of the things I would say that's fine. One of the things I would suggest though is that maybe in the community post, once we find out any links for shelters, we can get those maybe out to people in some way. I don't know,
Pat,
or whoever.
Yeah,
Pat, I can stream for you
on the community
tomorrow.
post. Yeah, because I think somebody in the comments had mentioned too that there also is a poor population. A pretty sizable percent of Tampa is actually impoverished, right?
Sure.
And those are the people that are the most impacted. Those are the people that typically can't evacuate. So I know a lot of times there's sort of the stigma about when people perish or pass away from these events that, oh, why didn't they evacuate? Many times they can't for whatever reason. It's easier said than done, right? So if we get any links from Florida Federal Emergency Management that we can share out for shelters for folks, I think that's going to be helpful too.
Yep. Perfect.
That's fantastic. I agree on that.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Especially for people that don't know a shelter now, the next time there's another hurricane, then they can go to that shelter. They can plan out really well. The only thing I will allow this hurricane to destroy is Fortnite. Everything else it needs to stay away from. But all seriousness, just make sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Just make sure to have a plan in place. Make sure you know what to do, and you will be just fine. You will get through this together. And I'm gonna repeat this one more time because after the tropical tornadoes and the wind from Helene, no mobile homes.
All right. Yeah.
Because if you have a storm shelter that you can go to, don't stay in your mobile home. Ask a neighbor if they have a more substantial house. Plan something. Maybe tell your local officials that, hey, we might need a bus or something. We need to take you to the shelter. There are multiple ways to communicate and exploit different ways of evacuating. And we're going to get through the storm just fine at Pat Predictor channel and everybody in Florida and all the other channels, including David, Ryan Hall, all
Daniel.
Watch them. We're going to get through this together, and Daniel, of course. But here's the thing. This storm may be one of the worst storms ever in Central Florida.
Oh, yeah.
May want to be. So you need to pay attention. Smartphones. GPS data. They're a really good way of staying in contact. And you can find shelters there. You can find highways to go to. You can find all of that. If there's a gas station that's out, find another gas station that's out. There are plenty of ways to get communication, and the technology is amazing this day. But I'm telling you now, this storm is going to challenge our forecasting with technology and everything we know. It's going to challenge Florida much. I think it's going to challenge Florida even worse than Irma did.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm falling asleep over here.
Definitely. It definitely would in that case. But we'll have to see what happens, though. And ladies and gentlemen, last thing I will say is take this very seriously. Prepare for the worst. Pray for the best. And we'll keep you updated here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. Daniel, did you get the... Yep, you got ready. All right. So we're about to go to the after show. That's going to be on Daniel's channel. Everyone here, as soon as I end the stream, you'll be directed to Daniel's stream. So that's pretty much what's going to be happening. So with that being said... Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps us out, helps us get more people engaged with weather. The goal of this channel, as always, is to do that. Also, if you want to come hang out with us at Storms United, be sure to join our Discord server. It is in the description down below. Also, shout out to Daniel as an official sponsor of the Pat's Path Predictor channel. If you'd like to support the channel more directly, be sure to join our Patreon. It's the first link in the description down below. And with that being said, enjoy the after show. Stay safe.